That's why I told, Neeraj, that I will join, 5:30 it got over. Good evening, sir. Dr. Rao, good evening. How are you?
Thank you so much.
Nice
there was
to see you.
procedural issues entering the Zoom meeting. That's why it got
Okay. No problem. We are well in time, sir.
Sir, good evening.
We are late. Okay, sir. Madan is also... Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, Madhur ma'am. Good evening.
Me host, good. And Madan, yes. They have made me host. Kanchan.
You are co-host.
You are co-host, ma'am. You are co-host.
तो मैं कर रही हूँ, सबको admit कर रही हूँ. That is also, good thing.
Okay,
you get a chance to admit.
Want to sit this side? You want to see me? Awesome.
Good evening, Madhuri ma'am. Dilpreet here.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Good, ma'am. Good.
I am on the mobile, so I can't see anybody. Huh?
Ma'am, scroll it to the right. You will see everyone.
Yeah. I'm going that way. Yeah. Dilpreet. Okay. How are you, Dilpreet?
Good, ma'am.
Good. Nice to see all of you.
Good evening, ma'am. Tripti here from Delhi.
Yeah, Preeti. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling my thing, so I can see everybody.
Yes, you can see Madam Rao sir, Dr. Madan, Dr. Tripti, everyone you can see.
Hello, Sampak
Yeah.
madam. How are you?
Hi, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you?
Yes, I am fine.
Doing good work.
Thank you, madam.
Dr. Rajshekar, I can see Dr. Rajshekar.
Brahma Bhatt.
Yeah. I'm only calling out people who are on videos, huh?
Others should not talk.
When the print out program,
Half of the time, Madam is in Delhi, Mumbai.
Dr. Rishikesh will also come. We finished the meeting now. So, Neeraj, you call him.
Okay.
Good evening.
अपूर्वा सर अल्पेश भाई आ गए हैं. We can start.
अल्पेश सर आ गए. हाँ जी सर. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, Alpesh bhai. Good evening.
Good evening. Kem cho?
Bas majama.
अपूर्वा start.
Okay.
ऋषिकेश सर आए क्या? ऋषिकेश सर
नहीं, उनका लग नहीं रहा है. मैं ट्राई कर रहा था. फिर
व्हाट्सएप पे करो ना. व्हाट्सएप पे करो.
व्हाट्सएप में भी किया मैंने. He is not picking up.
अच्छा.
Should I start?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So good evening, pranam and namaskar to all of you. Greetings from Sexual Medicine Committee, Foxy. My dear friend, sexual medicine, when we are talking about the sexual medicine, when we talking about the health, the sexual health is an integral part of the healthy life when we're talking about the overall health. But unfortunately, this sexual medicine part, or this sexual medicine and sexual health, is always neglected. So it is our sincere effort to give a basic knowledge of what all about the sexual health to each and every one of us, all the gynecologists and all those who want say their career in the sexual medicine. So today we are here for the first session of the psychosexual health masterclass. So before I start the program, I would like to invite the person behind all this program and our own chairperson, Dr. Neeraj Jadhav, sir. Sir, over to you for your kind words.
Thank you, Apurva. Good evening and welcome to everyone to this masterclass series on psychosexual health. This is our third masterclass series. First, we did S flu, sexuality and sexual health, under which we did 6 programs. Basically, it was a more of theoretical part of the various sexual dysfunction. Then we did the second masterclass series, that was C2C, means confusion to consensus, where we did the case-based discussion on various sexual dysfunction. And now this is the third masterclass series, which is on psychosexual part. Why? Because we gynec must learn about the psychology part if we want to manage sexual dysfunction. Basically, we are planning to have a various psychological aspect like communication. We want to discuss about the sensor focus. We want to discuss about the CBT and various counseling technique in the subsequent session of this masterclass series. So, what is psychosexual medicine? It is a brief therapy where we explore how emotional factors, not always experienced consciously, interfere with the sexual performance and the enjoyment. The underlying cause of the problem may be physical or psychological in varying proportion, but rarely limited to one or other. A physical examination is usually undertaken and often helps us to reveal the feelings, anxieties, and fantasies that patients have about themselves and their sexual parts. This can be indirectly helpful in understanding the problem. The task of psychosexual medicine, including expert genital examination, is to help the person first complete the job of expressing and then hearing their own story. So let's learn from our expert about this important part of sexual medicine. We have very expert faculty with us to teach us about this important factor on the psychological aspect of the sexual dysfunction. So once again, I welcome everyone for this very important masterclass series, and I think every gynec must attend this session to learn about the basic of the psychological aspect of the sexual dysfunction. Thank you who all have joined for this program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So as we, in our culture, we always start some good work from the blessing of our seniors. So we have today a very special chief guest with us, Hardil Aziz, our own Dr. Alpesh Gandhi, sir. I would like to invite Manish Mahajan, sir, to please introduce Sir Alpesh, sir, and to invite him. Over to Manish, sir.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is the masterclass series for the benefit of the gynecologist, so as to start the sexual medicine practice in the OBGYN OPD. And thank you, Dr. Neeraj sir, for this initiative. I would like to welcome Dr. Alpesh Gandhi sir, past president FOXY, for this academic session, and request him to say a few words about this particular event. Dr. Gandhi sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me, giving me this opportunity, giving me this honor. It is really, I am very happy to be here with you all. Particularly, I would like to convey my regards and my hello to my friend, FOXY President Dr. Rishikesh Pai, our very dynamic FOXY Secretary General Dr. Madhuri Patel, our today's guest of honor, Dr. Asa Bakshi and Dr. Shampat Kumari, Vice President Foxy. Our today's very eminent faculty, Dr. TSS Rao. Sir, we have good work done in 2020 with you, and we are happy to have you again here with us. I'm so happy Neeraj has invited you. You are the perfect person, authority for this topic, I would say.
Very much, sir.
At the beginning, I would like to thank Dr. Neeraj Jadhav, and I would also like to congratulate him and the Sexual Medicine Committee Foxy for this very good work. They are continuing since last 3 years. I'm more happy that I have seen Neeraj growing in Foxy and starting his work and doing good work continuously. Once this committee was not in so much light, but now I can see everywhere this committee has reached. Webinar were started in 2020, but there are few committees who have taken its maximum benefit to reach our maximum societies and our maximum Foxians, and Sexual Medicine Committee under the able leadership of Dr. Neeraj Jadhav is one committee who has covered almost 70% of Foxy affiliated societies across India through our webinars, and they have done good work to update our members, and now really many of our members are interested in this field. This committee has also done many public awareness programs. They publish some of the articles on various sexual problems. They not only for our gynec friends, but also for the general public. They also currently I have gone through the survey going at present. I think it is continuing the sexual medicine practice among gynecologists to know our knowledge, our attitude, our practice, to understand all these things and our perception about sexual health. And I think I am also very eager to know, once the survey will be over, I will be very eager to know the result of this survey. Shortly, very important thing is they are also going to come with the ICOG certificate course in sexual medicine. I think this will be a landmark achievement and step under the able leadership of Neeraj and this committee. So a lot of good work is done in last 2.5 years in this committee. And I would definitely, I would like to congratulate again this committee for this excellent work. I'm happy to see this masterclass series in psychosexual health. And as nothing to say much about our expert faculty. About the topic also, brief introduction is given by Dr. Neeraj, but I would just like to mention very briefly that sexual problem does not mean always a physiological or pathological. It may be sometimes psychological in origin. Multiple factors from the general health of the patient, chronic illnesses, psychiatric, psychological disorders, socio-cultural factors, habits, many factors can affect it. And they can attribute to the development of psychosexual dysfunction. And the thing is that it is our responsibility now in this modern world, modern time of our practice, to know the basic of sexual medicine, so that we can counsel with our patient, we can guide them, we can help them. And we can say that we are taking care of 50% of the population of India, and they are reaching to us. Many times we are the first person to be contacted by women in India. So we should guide them properly. We should have knowledge about this problem. And this is a very, very common problem. Actually, we can say 20-25% of the, I am not sure, sir, our expert faculty will inform about the incidents, but sexual problem is very common and a high incidence of this problem is there. But at the same time, current scenario is not good in India. Majority of the sexual dysfunction patients are handled by local quacks, faith healers. Maybe they are taking guidance from the social media or Google or from the experts who may not be qualified. So all this all this can lead to many problems, and for them or to help them, it is very important that we should also have the basic knowledge about this sexual dysfunction and psychosexual problem also, and so that we can help them in prevention, detection, as well as management of psychosexual problems and other sexual problems also. Once again, my best wishes for the success of this webinar, and I would definitely love to know the result of the survey which sexual committee is conducting, and I hope they will continue good work in future also. My best wishes to this webinar. Thank you very much once again for giving me this opportunity, inviting me for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I know you have a very busy schedule and again another meeting with that. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank you, sir.
Sorry,
Thank
I have to leave early. Sorry.
Yes, I know.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Thank
you're
you.
always there for all of us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
you.
you, Apurva,
sir.
and thank you, Manish. You are a very good communicator. You are always in time to remind.
Sir, I always learn from you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, after the blessings from our past president, dear Alpesh Gandhi, sir, now it's the time to get blessings from the very special, again, very special person, our own Secretary General, Dr. Madhuri Patel, ma'am. She doesn't need any introduction, but she is, in a true sense, the example of women empowerment in India, being the first Secretary General of our vibrant Foxy, a vibrant society, our vibrant organization, Foxy. So thank you so much, ma'am, for always being there, always your blessings. Over to you, ma'am, for your kind words.
Dr. Apurva, I would like to say one thing for Dr. Madhuri. You are telling she is the example of women empowerment, and she is the first, but I think, yes, she is the first Foxy president, but example of women empowerment since so many years, not just from this year.
Yeah, definitely, sir, definitely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Apurva and Dr. Alpesh Bhai, for your kind words. Respected our President, Dr. Rishikesh Pai, most dynamic and the visionary. And another our past President, Dr. Alpesh Gandhi, who is today Chief Guest, visionary and dynamic. And during COVID time, he has done wonder. And that's why today we are all, accustomed to that, webinars, and we are meeting almost every day, everybody, and we are, disseminating our, whatever expertise we have, which is really helping not only us, but also to our patient. So then we have Dr. Sampat Kumari, my great friend, Dr. Asha Bakshi, another great friend, then Dr. Neeraj. I must say, Neeraj, that, you have really utilized, your, sexual committee, medicine committee was silent, like a psychosexual problem. It was silent, I will say, but now it has become absolutely vibrant and people are interested. And, some of the other, I'm made co-host, so I'm just, clicking everybody to admit. So there are so many people are interested to know what are the problems, because these problems are not really mentioned in the books. They are not taught, practically. They are big chapters, but, to implement in practice. And, for that, we have a great speaker, Dr. Rao, who is going to talk about communication principles and practice. And I must say, he is a good counselor, and that's why he's so good, famous, psychiatrist, in he is going to talk, and I'm definitely going to listen to him. And then, of course, we have Apurva, Dr. Madan, Dr. Manish, and all other my dear friends. Good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank Neeraj, Rishikesh, Asha for giving me this opportunity. As I already mentioned, that Foxy is the most vibrant, prestigious, and one of the largest OBGY organization in the world, with 266 member bodies and 39,500 plus committed members to women's health. And today, in a WHO project, we are there in Delhi, Rishikesh and myself. I presented about Foxy, and they are so impressed. I said our each and every member is committed to women's health. So Neerav, you are doing excellent work, and I congratulate for you for the same and wishing you best luck. And what Dr. Rao is going to talk today for 2 hours. I'm surprised, Dr. Rao, as a teacher, as a professor, to talk for 2 hours, it really requires, stamina. There are different, as soon as you talk, there are different questions you have to answer. So almost 3 hour session. I have been also professor, so I know about it. But 2 hours is a great, great time, and we are going to listen to you. And what you are going to talk, we are all going to get enlightened, and we are definitely going to get benefit, which will help us in day-to-day practice, and our women are also going to get problem. I have seen, with the psychosexual problem, as Dr. Alpesh Bhai has mentioned, it is not a pathological, it may not be physiological, but there are many couples coming to us, and if these problems are not solved, then they are at the break of the marriages also. So these are the many, many problems. So I, congratulate the organizer for the most apt webinar and wish them best luck. And I would like to quote at the end Benjamin Franklin: investment in knowledge gives the best interest. So, dear friends, let us invest in updating our knowledge and give the best to our women. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Madhu Madam. I know you are busy in meetings at Delhi, but still you spare time for our committee and our webinar. So thank you very much.
Neeraj, I will be always there,
Yes,
You know that, you know that, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for always being
Thank you,
there.
ma'am.
Thank you for your blessings. Yeah. So next, the guest of honor for today is again two very, very special person and a person who was really very close to my heart, जिनको मैं कह सकता हूँ कि हाँ ये मेरे सीनियर हैं, है ना, जो मेरे गलती पे मुझे थप्पड़ भी मार सकते हैं और मेरा कान भी खींच सकते हैं. Our very own Dr. Asha Bakshi ma'am, our Vice President in charge. And ma'am, thank you so much for always being there. मैं अभी मैम को देख रहा हूँ, probably she is attending some marriage function. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being there. आप अपने so busy schedule से आप always आती हैं, आप ये करती हैं, हम अपना blessings देती हैं. Thank you so much, ma'am. So over to you, ma'am, for your blessings. Asa, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Apur. Am I audible? Yes. Thank you very much, Apur, for such good introduction. And today, actually, I'm attending a wedding, my niece's wedding at Suryagarh in Jaisalmer, where recently Kiara Advani's wedding took place. So
Wow.
thoroughly enjoying it. But I feel again here.
Ma'am, you are looking so beautiful.
Thank you so much. And I think sexual counseling is a sexual medicine as such is a very important aspect. And when so many marriages are taking place, I think most of these people need sexual counseling, preconception, fertility, as well as sexual counseling. So, and you both are, Neeraj and Apur, both of you are doing such great job. And it has been so nice to see Madhuri Madam, Dr. Alpesh Gandhi, and Dr. Rao. It would have been very nice that I could have heard your talk, but because of this busyness, I cannot. But thanks again, and all the best, and continue with the good work. Thanks. I have to go back. Right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
I got it to you.
It's a beautiful place. If you want to see, it's an extremely beautiful place.
Enjoy, madam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
So again, our guest of honor next is again very, very special person for us, who always bless us and who always guide us. Our very own, our guardian like Dr. Sampath Kumari ma'am. Ma'am doesn't need any introduction. Ma'am is the vice president at present, Foxy South Zone. She is just past, the chairperson of the Adolescent Health Committee, and ma'am is always there, and she always teaches us. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being a great teacher to all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving always your blessings and to give time for this webinar in your busy schedule. So thank you so much, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am, Sampath, ma'am, for your kind words.
Thank you, Dr. Apurva, for the nice words. Respected Dynamic President Dr. Rishikesh Pai, and respected our Secretary General Madhuri ma'am, and our Vice President Dr. Asha, and the committee chair Neeraj, always doing wonderful work with this committee. As everyone told how to tackle with these problems, you are teaching everything in the webinar itself, Neeraj. I think Dr. Alpesh sir was our chief guest. He only started in 2020 about this webinar, and after that only many committee people, and we have many friends with this webinar. I think we can meet many people almost weekly, 5 times we are attending this webinar, and you have a wonderful coordinators, Dr. Apurva and Dr. Manish, taking whatever you expect they are doing, I think. Anyway, so this you did one program for adolescents also, I think, adolescent sexual health. See, these adolescents, they don't know what is about the sexual health. They are not able to get the message from the parents and the teachers. So most of them, they get only from the friends. The day which you conducted that adolescent program, I was also there. So you should do many more programs even for the counseling of adolescents regarding the sexual health. As I am also eagerly waiting to listen to Dr. Rao sir lecture, as Madam told, 2 hours lecture we can see from his professor. I wish all the best for the wonderful success of this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Neeraj and Dr. Apurva, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Many participants are entering. So as Madhuri madam told, all are interested in knowing what is happening with the sexual health.
Yes, thank you, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now over to Manish sir to introduce the man of today, that is our own faculty, Dr. TSS Rao sir. We are eagerly waiting to listen from him. So sir, over to you, Manish sir.
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Rao sir. We welcome you for this particular program. And to introduce Dr. TSS Rao sir, he is a famous psychiatrist and sexologist practicing in Mandya, as well as he is professor and HOD of the psychiatry department in the JSS Medical College and University, Mysore. As Dr. Madhuri Patel madam said, that he is going to teach us at a stretch of 2 hours. Like when I asked him, means how much time a webinar we should keep. Sir said you can keep for the whole day. I can talk for the whole day also. And it is fact, because I have attended the face-to-face learning from sir, and sir can talk literally at a stretch for so many, because he has so much to give, and in the easiest way, as well as being patient with all the doubts of the students. And means I have known him as a total sex solution Rao, and it is absolutely no exaggeration, because anything and everything about the sexual medicine sir knows, and sir has a special gift to impart this knowledge to his students also. So looking forward to a very enlightening session, sir. Welcome, and please you can start over. Thank you, sir. Sir, आपका you have to on your mic, sir.
I'll share my slides and then I'll start share screen. Where it is? You to share this one.
Yes.
How to share that?
Yes.
Here is the file. Hello, you have not taken the slide. No?
Sir.
It should be shared.
Best.
It's not this one. I thought you were aware of these things. 1 minute.
You are asking.
Okay.
Select that. Select that, sir.
Is it seen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At the outset, let me thank the Foxy for this wonderful opportunity what you have provided to me.
Not just presentation, the whole window is seen. Yeah. The video participants video, it is also seen.
You want me to reduce that? Okay. What do you find?
Yes, sir.
I have developed so many friends in Foxy now. Of course, Dr. Alpesh Gandhi, Dr. Madhuri Patel, Asha Bakshi Madam, and Sampath Kumari. In fact, many of them have spoken very good words about me. I'm really grateful for this wonderful opportunity that has been given. I also have one person on the screen, what I can see, Dr. Rajashekar Brahmabhat. He was motivator and mentor for me. And when he heard that I'm going to speak, he wanted to be there. And I seek his blessings for before I continue with my presentation. Second one, the attitude matters. Foxy has taken up this particular aspect in such a big way. Is one of the very, very encouraging and what we basically call enlightening experience, for the simple reason that one of the most neglected area in general, significantly neglected in the medical field, and particularly for the gynecologists, many of them actually somehow avoid getting into the details related to the sexual medicine. So these programs are extremely grateful. Nearly last 2 to 3 years, one way or other, I'm actually participating in a whole range of Foxy programs. And I'm really encouraged to see that very high level of academic activity that is actually happening. Dr. Manish Mahajan was one of my students here actually in Mysore. We have 2 programs. One is fellowship in psychosexual medicine, other certificate course. And his participation and contribution to our learning has been something exemplary. And Dr. Neeraj Jadhav was in Mysore just about 3 weeks ago. And I'm really grateful that he made it to our department. Coming to the JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, I'm extremely happy to inform that this is the only university-based fellowship program currently available. A lot of work is actually happening in many institutions, and this should become a regular university training program is one of our aims actually to see that. Okay, coming to today's topic. When we are trying to talk about masterclass, in fact, very easy for us to talk about, say, somebody is having ED, somebody is having desire problem, somebody is having premature ejaculation, women are having some specific problems. But behind all those things, there is another one significant area that operates, as many people are emphasizing, the psychological aspects. More importantly, what actually I'm going to talk today would be related to as normal people, we're all and how best we can improve our own communication. You're all successful gynecologists. It only indicates that you're already making use of communication skills in a very big way. But all said and done, maybe the juniors and others who may be participating in this particular program. And I'm really grateful that at the end of this particular program, some idea related to what actually we mean. So if that is actually successful, I'm really grateful. So objective of this program is to understand that sexual problems are extremely common. When we are trying to talk about sexual problems, the relationship and such other matters matter very significantly. And one of the most important component of, say, quality of life or for a successful marriage, communication. Principles and practice indicate, I may be talking quite a bit about a range of theories that are involved or the range of schools which actually contribute to this. In fact, if you try to look at the number of books I was just trying to look at on communication in my library. In fact, I have a personal library of around 13,000 plus books. There were about 1,000 plus books actually, we can actually pick it up. So that means there is so much of materials available. What I'm going to do today is actually not to get into the detailed discussions of any of the theories or issues involved. Day in, day out, what we come across people and how best what can be done to with our partners. What are actually mistakes what we are doing? What are the things what we can do which actually can enhance our interaction, ultimately leading to what we basically call the improvement in quality of life. Also listening to this whole program. So I am to a great extent censored from talking whatever comes to my mind. I can't do that particular thing. So she is actually watching. So in that case, I have to be a little careful about every word what I am going to talk about. So whatever I am telling that what is actually happening in my life, you please understand that something is actually happening to somebody which I am giving as an example of my clinical practice. Before I start, let me wish you happy just day for yesterday. And that speaks about how important this is that relationship matter. In fact, for all practical purposes, now when we are talking about sexual problems, we are actually talking about relationship problems. So that means this is one of the very, very important area. And this presentation has been made in such a way that next 1.5 hours, you should not get bored. So for example, if you give the chance to psychiatrists to speak, we speak, and ultimately we want to see that some people get mad and who can be treated. So that would be one of the very common thing that will actually happen. I want to avoid that. Let it be fun. Please actually, in fact, anywhere, somewhere, we are actually entering into the program and starting means also you are not missing anything significantly. And 1 or 2 specific points what we may be speaking has significant implication on our own life in a big way. So from this particular angle, I am confident it will be actually really good.
मेरा प्यार भी तू है, ये बहार भी तू है, तू ही नजरों में जाने तमन्ना, तू ही नजारों में। मेरा प्यार भी तू है, ये बहार भी तू है, तू ही नजरों में जाने तमन्ना, तू ही नजारों में, नजारों में।
This just to give an introduction that, in fact, relationship matter. Each partner should be able to see the other one positively, wait for a certain significant interaction between them. That way, they both enrich their life. So these are the few of the things which are extremely important in life. So in my presentation, there will be about maybe about 10 to 20% the common general points related to the communication I would be talking to you. Another few important aspects related to the sexual functioning and other related aspects, how actually it impinges communication from that particular angle. The third one, some solutions actually, how actually this whole aspect can be utilized in our day-to-day living. So this will be the 3 steps actually I'll be trying to look at it. As actually it has been mentioned here, without communications, you are nothing. In fact, day in, day out, we're actually dealing with this particular aspect in a very significant way. When we try to talk about word communication, it has so many components along with that, actually that even any number of hours, any number of sessions will not be just sufficient. So what we need to do is actually try to pick up some important aspects and how best this can be utilized. I have just another one small video. And after that, in fact, as Apurva was mentioning, if somebody wants to raise some questions and wants to talk to me in between, most welcome. You have to just raise your hand or maybe indicate to me that actually you are raising some questions related to this area. Please have a look at this particular video.
Today's class is on TCA cycle. This is otherwise called citric acid cycle. This is a very commonly found pathway in all the cells. And the cells start with glucose. Glucose gives rise to pyruvate. Pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA enters citric acid cycle. In the citric acid cycle, acetyl-CoA is completely oxidized to carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide and water is the final product. And by the way, ATP is also formed. ATP is formed in TCA cycle, and this TCA cycle is essential for also forming glucose. Glucose is formed from phosphoenol pyruvate, which comes from pyruvate. Pyruvate can also come from oxaloacetate. Oxaloacetate can come from TCA cycle. So TCA cycle is also important for formation of glucose, that is otherwise called gluconeogenesis. So now we have completed TCA cycle, gluconeogenesis. So next class will be on HMP pathway. I'll continue with this. Thank you.
In fact, this particular video is very indicative that communication is a two-way process. If somebody actually tries to talk to, and what this particular teacher was trying to do was talking to the blackboard rather than to the people who are actually sitting in the class. So there was a total disconnect. And precisely, this particular aspect can happen with anybody. This can happen with a teacher. This can happen to a CEO. It can happen to a manager. It can happen to a... So it is a process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. In fact, each of these words will carry very different explanations and meanings. Let me not just go into too many details related to that, but all said and done, this can be carried out by many means, what we basically call speech, signals, writings, and behavior. So each of these areas are very significant, and we will be trying to, as we actually proceed, each of these actually how it actually works out. So when we are trying to talk about process of communication, there is one sender here, which a receiver gets it one or other channel, some particular message. And the message what actually will be sent is encoded one. And receiver, unless he has the proper knowledge, the idea, background, or information related to this, or the experience which goes with that, he decodes it and he understands what actually. He can give feedback and convey it to the sender again by one or other methods of processes, what actually precisely happening to this particular area. So effects of effective communication includes many aspects. There means there is one sender and encoder is there, message is there, and multiple channels. And at the basic level to understand, it may be by the voice, the written text, visuals, which are extremely common. Later, we are going to talk to you about even silence and certain other things actually are loaded with a whole lot of meanings and other related things. Even what actually we mean by that, that would be one of our important area of understanding. So sender, receiver, and multiple channels, what we have mentioned in simple form. And it is an interactive two-way process. What the teacher was trying to do was she was totally disconnected with the whole class it was sitting in front of it. That means each one was at their own play, and unfortunately, what actually needed to be conveyed, it was not got conveyed. And what actually has to be the feedback which should have received, both were actually missing in a significant way. So
sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, this video window is seen. I mean, the photos are seen on the presentation.
Yeah, to reduce it now.
They can be minimized. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So this message channel and feedback, that means these two steps are extremely important, these things for our understanding. If there is anything happens in this area, a lot of confusion can happen. So the noise, what we refer to is the interferences that are actually happening between this particular sender, sending it to the receiver, and the receiver sends it back as a feedback message. In between, the semantic problems, the language related problems, difficulty in receiving proper feedback, use of improper channel for understanding actually the whole process. You keep this mobile. Physical distractions. One of the most important things is actually, in fact, I gave off my mobile for the people to keep it somewhere actually. So this is one of the extremely important things that can happen to anybody, the physical distractions, status effects, somebody above and somebody below, and cultural differences. Each of these areas we are going to actually look into a little more in detail, but all said and done, it is extremely important to know that one particular statement, the punchline here is, it is a two-way process. When somebody tries to convey something, it may not actually what we are actually trying to understand. People communicate with each other in a number of ways that depend upon the message and its context in which it is being sent. Very commonly, in fact, we are all well aware there are two types of these things. One is verbal communication, another one is non-verbal communication. What we talk, what we don't talk. In fact, each of these type of things are extremely important for us to understand. So coming to the verbal communication, we are all well aware that we speak. And one of the very common statement made is actually psychiatrists speak too much. Our whole profession is such that we are supposed to be the listeners rather than actually the speakers. So verbal communication, when we are trying to refer to, it refers to the form of communication in which the message is transmitted verbally and is done by word of mouth or a piece of writing. Either of the ways, they are considered to be actually what we call as the verbal communications. I like that girl who is sitting in the third bench corner, and I want to convey to her, and I write it in a small piece of paper and send it to somebody. Unfortunately, the mistake can happen is actually that girl may fall in love with that boy who went and gave that particular chit to her. But all said and done, they are all indicators of what we basically call verbal communication. So that means what we speak, what we write, both could be, in fact, the important indicators of what has happened. So when we are trying to talk about, there are a few things what we definitely need to remember very, very clearly. That means when you are trying to talk about the oral, this thing, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. You all might be aware, if you open Hutchinson's clinical methods, if you open the section on speech, there are totally 4 components what is actually given. One is actually talking, one is actually hearing, and so also, in fact, reading and writing. These are the 4 components a student has to actually work on to get into what we basically call the exact meaning related to what it is actually. So when you are trying to say verbal, these components are extremely important. Each of these things, I will not go into too many details, but the non-verbal, when we are trying to talk about interpersonal relationship, husband and wife issues, or maybe the partner related issues, the non-verbal actually carries very, very significant this thing. Gestures, posture, facial expressions, and many of these type of things are very clearly indicators of certain specific things. How somebody speaks, what actually is trying to convey in what particular fashion. All of these things are extremely important components to be actually remembered. I'll not go into the minute details related to each of these things, but important point very often between husband and wife or between lovers or between two people lays, I tell so many things, but you don't understand, don't listen, don't remember, don't try to implement. You have no love for me. These are all extremely common, these things. So you have heard it, but not have listened. That means these two processes are something very significantly different. This particular difference, unless you know it, you are likely to land up in problem. So do you think there is a difference between hearing and listening? Yes, there is absolutely, you are right that there is actually difference. Hearing is simply an act of perceiving sound by the ear. If you are not hearing impaired, hearing simply happens. Whereas listening is one of the very active processes. That means the whole lot of starting from your earlier experiences to the current interest, in between range of processes that actually happen. And brain is one of the very important structure which actually does a lot of things actually to carry out this particular. Many of the times when we are trying to talk about couple, there are few issues which actually come up in a very
चलान तो कटेगा मैडम
पर मैं फोन पे बात नहीं कर रही थी।
मैडम आप काय की इतना बहस कर रहे हैं? चलान कटेगा, बस कटेगा।
मैंने सिर्फ अपने हस्बैंड को कॉल लगाया था, बस दैट्स इट। बात नहीं कर रही थी मैं।
अरे कभी कह रही कॉल की थी, कभी कह रही बात नहीं करी। अरे क्या फाइन दीजिए आप।
यार आप ऑफिसर हो, आपको ये भी नहीं पता कि बात करने का मतलब क्या होता है। हम बात कर रहे हैं, मैं भी बोल रही हूँ, आप भी बोल रहे हो। मैंने अपने हस्बैंड को कॉल लगाया था, सिर्फ मैं बोल रही थी, वो सिर्फ सुन रहा था, बात नहीं कर रहे थे हम लोग।
So many of the times this happens. Precisely what we are actually, we are telling something, other person is whether listening or not listening, there is a wide chasm may be actually present between two. So this particular process in psychological terms, we call it active listening skills. And few important things which are, one has to remember is actually building trust and establishing rapport, demonstrating the concern, asking specific questions, use of brief verbal affirmations like actually, yes, I'm actually listening and I'm interested in this whole process. All of these type of things are extremely important. But let me tell you, the whole range of literature that is available tells us that men are actually deficient in many things. Their vision compared to the female partner, in fact, one may be talking about, a woman can actually see in a sweeping fashion what is actually happening in front of her. Whereas man's vision is actually the long term. In fact, at a very far off away, who is this nice girl who is coming? In fact, he can be aware of. Second, when you're trying to talk about hearing, they are all actually, in fact, men in general, we are basically what you call handicapped individuals. Our hearing acuity is about 25 to 30% less than actually the female hearing acuity. And this is one of the reasons why when a woman says there are about 10 explanations actually are, in fact, she wants about 10 items. In fact, she is actually doing a major mistake because his hearing acuity is so low that he may not really understand what actually or how many things actually she is trying to talk about. So how to overcome this? There are actually called as effective listening skills. One is actually concentration. One has to keep aside certain things and try to concentrate on that particular thing. You are in a hurry and something is told and actually, in fact, the problem gets doubled or significantly made into a difficult situation. Avoiding distractors. That's what actually I was trying to tell you. If you are conducting a meeting, better to keep the mobile and a lot many other things by the side. Avoiding interruption. In fact, when some particular important meeting is happening, or in fact, something actually listening, making TV on, keeping the mobile on and looking into the WhatsApps. In fact, they are not the ones actually which will go into help. Asking for clarifying details, where we understood, how much we understood, how much extra we want to know, and giving feedback. Yes, I agree with that, or I don't agree with that. In fact, these are all the few of the important things actually one should be able to tell. So when we are trying to talk about barriers, there are multiple things that can come up. One is actually the interruptions. Many of the times there are a few more extra other things actually what one has to keep in actually prediction of the message. Say wife is going to tell something means actually I beforehand only I make up my mind that she is going to talk something unpleasant. She's going to scold me or she's going to tell me something unpleasant, this thing. Blocking message due to personal views. Anyway, this particular person is going to, in fact, many of the times when a phone call comes, you have taken some money. That particular phone call, in fact, he may be trying to talk to you for some other reason. We may actually be blocking. Inability to hear when a noise is there around. Distracting mannerisms. You are showing concern or you are not showing concerns. Non-understanding, wandering thoughts, many of these type of things. And when we are trying to talk about wandering thoughts, in fact, this Foxy has arranged this particular program for 2 hours. What people have understood is actually, in fact, when we are trying to talk about a teacher taking a class for students, the maximum time, the acetylcholine, which is necessary for concentration, can last for only around 20 minutes. And this is one of the reasons, internationally speaking, many of the programs are set for actually what we call as the 20-minute sessions. But you look at, see, many of the schools, the programs are set for 1 hour. Many of the times, it may be English class in the beginning and suddenly mathematics class and then actually the other science or social sciences. That means our brain needs a little bit of time to change the mode that we are actually not. The third one, continuously talking, not going to work out. How it can be overcome? See, one of the things what I am trying to do is actually, in fact, in between bringing in some videos or maybe some other this thing, we can actually maybe bring about certain changes rather than actually continuously, constantly hearing to one particular person. The wandering thoughts. In fact, you are expecting something and you are wanting to do something else. In fact, these are the things that are major distractions which actually can create quite a bit of difficulties. And in what we basically call one of the most common distraction in many of the meetings or maybe between people. So what is precisely happening is the mobiles are actually taking over and see, very often we are talking about COVID-19 and creating difficulties. It is a pandemic. World over, it is actually creating difficulties. But let me tell you, the bigger pandemic actually we are going to come across in the coming days would be the mobile and internet and other related problems. Because earlier, students were not allowed to take mobiles. Now the school has gone into what we call mobile. And now, in fact, the amount of extent of, in fact, involvement with individual's life has become such a significant to this thing that it is almost impossible for anybody to live without that. And unless we learn to control use of maybe the TV and mobile to a significant extent, we are going to land up with much more difficulty in concentration and our ability to. Coming to non-verbal communication, this is happening every minute in every situation. One of the important things is actually why this is actually should be given importance. Just again, I'll maybe 1 or 2 small videos. So, the now verbal communication, the important point what one has to note is actually what is being conveyed and what actually happening, whether there is actually correlation between these two. And when we are trying to talk about love, many of the times the love at first sight and lot many things actually happen for various reasons. And one may be talking about physics, chemistry and all of that. But all said and done, They are so innocuous, it may look like, but they carry such significant
En als je dan dacht dat de liefde nooit meer kwam, kan hij ineens vlakbij je zijn.
love is on another area where this can be very significant. When we are trying to talk about what we basically call non-verbal communication, there are multiple varieties of that. One or two important things what we have to remember is actually that what we speak, though it's a verbal, there are a lot of things actually which are components of non-verbal influence also. How one dresses, how actually somebody moves, how close and how far one is, what is the physical environment, what is actually the time and how much time, and each of these type of things may be actually part and parcel of what we basically call the non-verbal communication. So when we are trying to talk about components of non-verbal communication, from actually sexual medicine practitioners' point of view, these important few things are actually maybe necessary to keep it in mind. The haptics. Haptic communication is a form of non-verbal communication and the way by which people and animals communicate via touching. Touch is the most effective means to communicate feelings and emotions. In fact, this touch itself can make so much of a difference how actually one individual goes with it. So withholding touch may communicate a variety of negative feelings. And in our psychiatry, we have something called as transaction analysis, wherein you see the strokes, the number of times individual is patted on the back and encouraged. Majority of these type of things can have a very significant role to play in individuals, what we call motivating and carrying on a lot of things. And when we are talking about COVID-19, that namaskara culture of what we have, basically have, in fact, not touching is one of the very important basic things actually which helped us actually in a big way. But all said and done, being near and not touched, and more particularly when we are trying to talk about the partner, the lover, and various things like that, it can become one of the very significant areas. We have heard of quite a few stories related to the Me Too and lot many other things. So there is something called as public domain. There is something called as social domain. There is something called as personal domain, and what we basically call between partners, the intimate space. So how far and how much actually one can go about, in fact, consider as intimate 2 feet away, 1 handshake away, about 2 arms lengths away, and public 3.6, and in fact, somebody is giving a public lecture. So each of these areas actually work out to be in some particular form or other. Time is an important component. How much time, various other such these things. In fact, somebody is going to talk for hours together too. In fact, another person talks for a short while. How he talks, how much time he takes, and all that things actually may actually indicate certain things. Communicating non-verbally by body movements, whether it is a very friendly fashion, whether a lot of attitude an individual is presenting, and lot many other such things may actually make a significant these things. The vocalics are, this is the paralanguage. What we basically call is use of voice to communicate includes elements such as pitch, rate, pauses, volume, tone of voice, silences, laughs, screams, sighs, etc. What it means is what you speak is one aspect of it, which can be taken as the verbal communication. But how you and somebody spoke and how actually somebody made somebody comfortable and all these type of things are extremely important. And what we basically call it when we are talking about psychotherapy, sex therapy, couple therapy, marital therapy, family therapy, these become extremely important components, and more particularly so between 2 partners. And related to that, how actually, in fact, we convey a lot of things in those few minutes going to make world of difference. It is not only what you say, but how you say it is actually one of the very important component. One thing what actually people have documented is actually when language barrier is there. Say, for example, for us, English is actually a foreign language. I am trying to learn, but I want to impress and I'll try to speak in language, which actually...
Emotion scenes are very good. We are seeing this movie too because of only Jagapati Babu sir. Jagapati Babu sir, we should definitely see this movie. Why? Because he made expectations roles, unexpectations roles. Why? Because he played a double role in this movie. We are seeing in this movie are so many things we got in this movie. If you see this movie only, you can understand by this movie. Patel is most probably, it is so good movie. Is definitely we should see this movie. If you will not see this movie, half of the life is waste.
So actually one may convey a particular type of meaning, it may actually not necessarily be the one he is trying to convey. Many men in general, we have a lot of difficulty in understanding quite a few things, and our brain works in a different fashion altogether. And this is one of the major handicaps.
The university today is a network. It's no longer a silo. I oversee a women's self-help group, and I chatting to them once, I told them this. I said, you know, the President of the United States, he said that a rising tide raises all boats. The woman looks at me and she says, Rahul bhaiya, hamare paas to naw hi nahi hai. A rising tide doesn't raise people who don't have a boat. We have to help build the boat for them. It's not good enough to raise the tide. One of the biggest problems poor people have is identification. If you go to a village, the village knows each other. The villager leaves the village. He loses all that information and nobody else has it. Let me go back to the women for a bit. A second. Yeah. Let me go back to the women. They told me.
There is one more. In fact, it is one of the so typical of men in general. If you try to look at all communication
Brexit, sorry,
results,
sir, because you are going to the UK. What will be your message on Brexit?
Well, Brexit is, I've been reading a lot about Brexit over the last couple of days, and it seems to be turning a little bit differently, where they're getting at least partially involved back with the European Union. I have no message. It's not for me to say. I own a lot of property there. I'm going to Scotland while I wait for the meeting. I have Turnberry in Scotland, which is a magical place, one of my favorite places. I'm going there for 2 days while I wait for the Monday meeting. But it's not for me to say what they should be doing in the UK. I have great friendships. My mother was born in Scotland. I have great friendships over there. We have a wonderful ambassador, Woody Johnson. And he's doing, by the way, Woody's doing a great job. But it's not for me to say. I'd like to see him be able to work it out so it could go quickly, whatever they work out. Is it heartbreaking? Oh, hard Brexit, I see. I thought you said it was heartbreaking. I said that might be going a little bit too far. Right? Heartbreaking. Is it heartbreaking? A lot of things are heartbreaking.
so what actually has been, I'm trying to convey the message. Men in general have a lot of difficulty related to, one is listening, the second one is talking. In fact, we are so poor, men in general, that many women actually complain that in fact he doesn't talk, doesn't explain, doesn't give any actually in fact information related to what is actually happening. He doesn't share a lot of things actually what happen either in the office or in the family or somewhere else. And many of these type of complaints actually leading to quite a bit of marital distress is one of the very, very common problems. So forgetting one is not able to speak much is one of the very typical story of men in general. So what I'm trying to tell you ladies who are, in fact, there are a lot of gynecologists listening to this whole process, that you have to be a little considerate to the men in general, because you are expecting him to be as much fluent in language and that much accent he should speak and he should share. This is not possible. And when we try to look at women, their way of expressing language is actually something a little different. Highly personalized, this thing is one of the very typically actually what...
Seatbelt.
Okay.
Mirror signal, then move.
वैसे मैं घर से मेकअप करके आई थी, बट ठीक है.
Side mirrors.
पर पता है, मुझे ना ये बीच वाला मिरर ज्यादा अच्छा लगता है. इसमें आराम से चेक कर पाती हूँ खुद को.
ये मिरर्स दूसरे कार ड्राइवर्स और पेडेस्ट्रियंस के लिए होता है, ये तुम्हारे मेकअप के लिए नहीं है।
मैं दूसरे कार ड्राइवर्स और पेडेस्ट्रियंस को अपने कार का मिरर क्यों यूज करने दूं?
This is one of the very typical this thing. But when we are trying to talk about lovers, two people in love are going to fall in love. In fact, it is successful or not successful can depend upon what actually one speaks. Men are extremely bad in this particular process. This is what actually. In fact, everybody can't be Raj Brahma, but so one has to keep it in mind how actually, where actually the mistakes can happen.
कुछ बोलोगे?
Yeah. My name is Ajay Sharma. I am an IIT graduate working with IBM company. My annual package is.
ये सब तो तुम्हारे रेज्यूमे में भी लिखा है।
तो क्या बोलूं फिर?
You know, शादी के बाद सबसे ज्यादा क्या मैटर करता है?
पैसा?
प्यार मैटर करता है। Romance is the most important ingredient of a successful marriage. आता है?
हाँ?
रोमांस करना?
आप
Oh God, इस अनाड़ी से पाला पड़ा है।
कैसे करते हैं?
कुछ तारीफ करो।
किसकी?
ये बेंच की, गार्डन की, मौसम की, मेरी।
बेंच बहुत मजबूत है, मौसम प्लेजेंट है, गार्डन में पानी देने की जरूरत है, तुम बहुत खूबसूरत हो।
छोड़ो।
तुम्हारी आंखें बहुत नशीली हैं।
छोड़ो।
तुम्हारे बाल बिल्कुल रेशम जैसे हैं।
छोड़ो।
और तुम्हारी आवाज कितनी सुरीली है।
ओह गॉड, अब छोड़ो भी।
इतनी लंबी लंबी तो छोड़ रहा हूँ, और कितनी छोड़ूं?
Get lost.
अरे रुको,
You will die a bachelor, failure. कभी शादी नहीं होगी तुम्हारी।
So how actually a woman perceives and what she expects and what man actually can be able to give is one of the very important aspects in many of the families. In fact, when we are trying to talk about couple therapy, when we are going to talk about sunset focus, when we are going to talk about many other things, these are all extremely important components. Many of the times I have seen quite a few couple, when everything is happening is also in some simple, so simple things can create quite a bit of difficulty. In fact, what you expect and what actually, in fact, the other person can give, there may be a world of difference that can come up. This particular video is again one of the very important thing, how actually one person can perceive.
मर गए बेटा।
This is so romantic.
आज शामत पक्की है।
एक सेकंड, खाने से पहले प्रे तो कर लो।
हे प्रभु, ये सब सहन करने की शक्ति देना प्लीज।
वो खाना अच्छा बना।
हाँ, मैंने प्रे किया। टेस्ट करके बताओ कैसा बना। दिखने में तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
एक सेकंड, दिखने में तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है
मतलब दिखने में अच्छा लग रहा है?
No, you didn't say that exactly. You said दिखने में तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
हाँ, तो वही तो बोल रहा हूँ, same to same.
No. It's not the same. There is a very big difference.
क्या?
दिखने में तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है मतलब खाने में खराब भी हो सकता है।
मैंने ऐसा कब कहा?
Just now, जब तुमने तो पे वो लिटिल एक्स्ट्रा स्ट्रेस दिया तो तुम्हारा मतलब यही था कि टेस्ट में खराब भी हो सकता है।
नहीं, लेकिन मैंने ये सोच के नहीं बोला।
Of course, तुमने ये कॉन्शियसली सोच के नहीं बोला, लेकिन तुम्हारे सब कॉन्शियस में यही सोच थी, इसलिए बिना सोचे बोलने पर तुम्हारी सच्ची सोच सामने आ गई।
प्रभु, मेरी प्रेयर अपने तक ही रखनी चाहिए थी ना?
अगर मेरी कुकिंग से इतनी ही प्रॉब्लम थी तुम्हें तो मुझे बोल देती एक बार, मैं इतने एफर्ट्स लेती ही नहीं। I knew it's a torture for you.
Oh, I wish I could. अरे बेबी, मेरा ऐसा कोई मतलब नहीं था यार। ना consciously ना subconsciously. You are unnecessarily reading between the lines.
Oh really? Then you could have used a better line to show your true feelings. Like खाना देखने में भी अच्छा लग रहा है।
But isn't this sentence logically wrong? I mean, बिना टेस्ट किए कोई ये कैसे बता सकता है कि खाना देखने में भी अच्छा लग रहा है?
ठीक वैसे ही जैसे बिना टेस्ट किए तुमने पहले ही ये तय कर लिया कि ये खराब भी हो सकता है।
Okay, I take my words back. ये देखने में भी अच्छा लग रहा है। अभी तो ठीक है?
अभी भी ठीक नहीं है, ये तुमने भी में जो ताने का तड़का डाला है ना, I can smell it loud and clear.
कौन सा ताना, कौन सा तड़का?
ये देखने में भी अच्छा लग रहा है. ये जिस इंटोनेशन के साथ तुमने भी पे स्ट्रेस दिया ना, सब समझ में आता है.
अरे बाबा, मैंने इतना सोचकर भी पर स्ट्रेस नहीं दिया.
Exactly my point again. ये तुम्हारे सबकॉन्शियस में था. दिल की बात जुबान पे आ ही जाती है eventually.
ये देखने में भी अच्छा लग रहा है.
ये क्या कर रहा है?
विदाउट एनी फीलिंग्स बोलने का ट्राई कर रहा हूँ रोबोट की तरह. ना कहीं पे एक्स्ट्रा स्ट्रेस होगा, ना मेरे को एक्स्ट्रा फीलिंग, ना रहेगा बांस, ना बजेगी बांसुरी.
मुझे तो पहले ही पता है. You have no feelings for me. तो मेरे बनाए हुए खाने के लिए फीलिंग्स कहाँ से आई? I should have not done all this, you know. I should have just thought.
Sorry. Please. I didn't mean to hurt you. मेरा ऐसा कोई मतलब नहीं था. अच्छा, मुझे माफ कर दो. मेरी जो भी गलती हुई हो, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, actually I apologize. Please तुम रो मत यार. Please.
It's okay. I'm also sorry यार. मुझे realize ही नहीं हुआ कि तुम्हें इतनी देर से भूख लग रही होगी. Please eat.
Yeah. Thank you.
बन गई है.
So, कैसा बना है खाना?
Often becomes what actually to tell, what actually not to tell, and how to tell, and how much to tell, and when to tell. See, these are all the things men are very poor. We are going to look at the brain mechanisms and other mechanisms, how actually these particular differences that actually come about. So when we are trying to talk about interpersonal and sexual communication, there are a few very important points one should remember. Let us look at example of an Sita and Rama couple. Young couple complement each other's lifestyles. They converse comfortably on money matters, share in decision-making, discuss their roles in so many aspects, talk about other important matters. But when you try to look at sex and related issues, the interaction is actually very, very limited. You look at, in fact, you might have noticed your parents, your colleagues and all of that. How was the day? You just tell this particular point to the lady, she will go into such great detail related to whole aspects. But you ask a man, how was the day? Maximum actually he may be telling is actually that it was good or bad. This is one of the major difference actually what we find. You remember that sex is a conversation carried out by another means. That's what actually that Peter Ustinov mentioned. And sex is communication. This is one of the extreme form, in fact, the most intimate form of communication one can think of. Participation in sex indicates communication, sometimes poorly, sometimes 12 on the scale of 10. Understanding how you communicate reveals the experiences, attitudes, words, and environment ultimately tells who you are. So these are all some of the important points one should remember. Sex communication actually gets into difficulty for various reasons. Not able to discuss in straight, honest, and open manner, not because we are actually have our own prejudices related to this. And because we are not communicating, the frustration builds up. Half-truths, guessing games, avoidances, stereotypic ideas, all these things get into the picture. I call my wife lie detector machine because she can very easily make out the even subtle changes that might be actually happening in me. Talking honestly takes guts. It is a cornucopia of sexual thoughts, fantasies, humor, desire, longing, images, moods, needs, pleasures, anxieties, whatnot. And when we are trying to talk about psychiatric problems, stress, anxiety, panic, depression, all of these type of things. And when we are trying to talk about how to experience, say for example, as a psychiatrist, to make you understand all these terminologies, I have some one of the common examples. Say stress is when your girlfriend is, in fact, your wife is pregnant. It actually produces some amount of anxiety. Anxiety when your girlfriend is pregnant. This particular anxiety is much more than the stress what you were initially taught. You come to know that your girlfriend is pregnant and your wife is pregnant together. The amount of significant anxiety what you experience, in fact, that's what referred to as panic. Depression, when you are not done anything at all, but both of them are pregnant. You got the point. So, all of the psychiatry I was trying to convey in some very simple terms, what actually they mean. And one of the very simple common story what one can talk about, boy meets girl, boy falls in love with the girl, they will live very happily after thereafter and all. Many of these stories actually they run. Whether they really stay very happily that way, what are the problems that happen? In fact, in my whole almost about 40 years of clinical practice, I'm yet to come across a couple who say that almost everything is fine. When somebody is telling like that particular way, it's only that they are actually telling lies. It is nothing more than that actually. There are actually two different ways actually one can look at. In the West, in fact, we have some friends and all who say that, how can you fall in love with somebody you don't know? No, you got the point. They have to fall in love and the courtship process and all whole lot of things. In the East, how you can fall in love after knowing one? No, you got the point. These are the two extreme ideas, but actually very relevant from our understanding. So when we are trying to talk about modern day, the heritage, our own background, mythology, spirituality, and hundreds of such things are actually impinge on our lot of activities what we try to do today. However changed, however much it has changed, see what you think and how your son or daughter actually was daughter-in-law or son-in-law think, actually there may be a wide range of differences possible. Often what we carry a very negative idea about the opposite sex. Everybody wants to marry, but in fact, they are also aware that actually it's one of the difficult job. We remember far more negative than positives in our life. Information from parents, peers, and media, in fact, particularly in the media, highly unrealistic, and many of these ideas are actually encouraged in such a great way. A woman almost always plotting, woman and mother-in-law almost always very tyrannic, daughter-in-law almost always suffering. In another soap, maybe, in fact, the daughter-in-law almost always problematic to the in-laws. So these are the ideas what we carry, and each and every interaction what we try to do carries actually this particular idea. Ignorance is about sex, that adds another different dimension to the whole process. Men almost always constantly think of sex. This is one of the very important point which has been documented. What one can say is their whole preoccupation would be starting from the morning till the night, something related to what we basically call the sex. Very often, in fact, people find very difficult, more particularly the young people, they want to talk to the opposite gender individual. Automatically, in fact, very nervous feeling, we might have felt, and we wanted to tell something, but something else we done uttered and muttered and came back. These are all very common stories what we come at. Hello.
मेरे छोटा वाला भाई है, बीच वाला पत्रकार है, तो मैं बोला ठीक है, काम करो, फाइन वैन में ही चले जाओ, मैं भी पीछे से आता हूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, घर का जैसा पैसा कम रहेगा, जाता रहेगा, लेकिन इसको करवा लो.
I think somebody has to mute. Okay, one of the important things is actually many of the times what we actually convey, we have to tell it in very simple, clear terms what we are actually expecting. Honey, let's go to bed means it actually conveys many of the things. He wanted to get ready and come back to the bed means by the time the lady must have slept off, because he didn't tell that this particular thing is to be expected tonight. So when you are trying to talk about men and women, there are a whole lot of differences actually one can expect. This masculine superiority to the feminine inferiority, masculine brawn to feminine beauty, feminine rejections, which actually, in fact, they take it very lightly or very seriously, masculine camaraderie, feminine dependence and masculine independence, many of these type of ideas. In fact, what actually people say about marriage is man loses the masters. In fact, bachelorhood, the woman becomes the master. So these are the two important points actually one can try to look at it actually in many of the times. So, differences between these two is possible that way. So what actually one need to do is understand what is precisely happening between man and woman. And there are actually the very significant extent, the data is available actually how this particular whole process can be managed. When we try to look at, say, our own development, the Kinsey's data, the girls enter puberty almost about 2 or 3 years earlier than boys. But the boys' sexual interest is about 3 to 5 times more than the girls. So this is one of the reasons why, in fact, when we are trying to talk about the interest shown by boys to the girls or girls to the boys, when we are trying to talk about, there is a wide difference between these two, and mainly because of this particular aspect. And we are also aware, as we age, there is a whole lot of changes that happen. So there are a lot of theories are available. You look at actually with the Freud, how actually the things happen in our development. There are other behavior theories that are available, but the brain and its related mechanisms are actually considered to be one of the very important information that is available. What actually, in fact, we have understood is both man and woman exist in every individual. What we need to definitely look into is actually how each one of these type of things we are nourishing and how actually we actually carry on with life. And if somebody can synthesize both these things in a very significant way, a lot of things can happen. We establish our identity somewhere, what we basically call by around 3 years. I am a boy, I am a girl, and all these are the two very definitive things. If something can happen, problem there can lead to quite a bit of difficulties. This gender identity can
Sorry for the interruption for your day. I am not on welfare, and I don't do drugs, and I do not have any children that I know of. But I'm also not here asking you for money today. I actually am looking for somebody who will marry me so I can stay in United States of America because I love America. Maybe somebody will marry me so I can stay in America. I am a good husband. I can be a good husband for you. I like to cook really healthy food. I'm very, very clean. I know how to give massage. I'm a happy person and I like to listen to really good Vladislava music, which is happy dancing music. So if somebody is wanting to marry me, I will be very, very happy. I do not need your money. I can even give you my money and you can use my money and you can buy clothing, nice clothing for you, even nice shoes. Anybody? Anybody wanting to marry me? And now it's legal to marry men also. So men or women. It does not matter. I am equal opportunity lover.
This is what precisely happens. What we basically call, for various reasons, a lot of changes can happen. And when we try to look at the man and his brain and its different functions, say, when we are trying to talk about communication, men are in general poor communicators, not because of anything, but you look at all the important brain structures which are very well developed in case of men. They're all related to the motivation, sexual pursuit, territorial defense, alarm system. So these are all not actually what actually a woman expects or in fact she is comfortable about. You look at all those things, what we basically call cognitive empathy, emotional empathy. These are very poorly developed in case of man. And this is one of the reasons in psychotherapy and in behavioral techniques, we almost always say, see, for example, my silence you should have understood and he would have done a lot of things, means it is not going to work that particular way. He cannot understand your words. He cannot understand very specifically your silence also. Whatever you want to tell, you tell him in very clear terms that I want Kanjivaram silk saree for my birthday. You tell him. Tomorrow is my birthday. You remind him. Many of the times men actually forget that it is actually the wife's birthday and lot many other such these things. And what we basically all worry about, feeling sinful, guilty and lot many other things, men are very poor in that particular area. They don't feel a lot of these things. I can close my eyes and imagine about 100 girls without much difficulty. But a woman may find it very difficult actually trying to do that particular thing. And inhibitory system breaks what we talk about. Almost majority of these type of problems are actually given to the women in general. I'll come to the what we basically call the components related to women 1 or 2 minutes later. But one of the most important problem between husband and wife that happens is that this particular man doesn't share issues, doesn't share his problems, doesn't share good things also. He is inexpressive. This is one of the extremely important common problem actually people reporting in many of the relationships. Husbands are almost like statues. This is one of the very important point. And what we speak, same words, but actually different meanings. And expressing emotion is one of the most difficult thing for, in fact, even my wife sometimes says you don't have feelings. That doesn't mean that some man is not having feelings, but we are not able to express the way actually a woman can express. A man cannot do all these type of things. So what actually has been documented is actually there are different brain mechanisms, and actually works out to be something very different for husband, wife, man and woman. The man's brain is actually bigger size, and what actually people have documented is actually that this particular thing is mainly because so much of garbage which is actually there compared to the woman. The woman's brain has been compared to the laptop. Small size, bigger capacity, very logical way of sharing. I'm not telling this to gynecologists because there are a lot of ladies here, but you are, in fact, one of the things what one can say is man is in fact a rough draft. The final copy is actually the woman. So this is the type of difference evolutionary wise. In fact, the woman is far significantly evolved than actually the man for various reasons. See, even if you look at the excretory apparatus, for passing urine and for passing semen, the same track. Whereas in case of woman, it has evolved to an extent that, in fact, these processes have been kept separately. So there are many things that have happened. I will not venture into that particular area in a very significant way. Women really have smaller brains, but they use them better than men. This is one of the very important point. The reason why you are poor is because you think of sex when it rains instead of forming. This is one of the very frequent complaint from the women. Men's brain is highly sexualized in the sense that, in fact, almost all the time, whether you are conveying some issue or he is trying to interpret in some particular this thing. Sexualization is one of the very significant issue. In fact, men try to see sex in
हेलो हेलो मिस्टर विनोद कुमार, मुझे आपसे मिलना और कुछ बात करनी है। क्या मुझे जानते हो? आप मेरे एक बच्चे के पिता हैं। ओह माय गॉड, क्या आप संगीता हो? नहीं। अनुष्का? नहीं। मेघा? नहीं। मिताली? नहीं सर, मैं आपके बच्चे की क्लास टीचर हूँ।
And even, in fact, when we are trying to talk about not only between partners, even men can interpret.
Hi, my name is Atulya. I work in digital communication. My question is really simple. What excites you the most?
That's the most difficult question I can answer. How can I say that publicly?
this is actually the case of the men. When you try to look at women, there are a whole lot of things actually, in fact, can make a whole lot of difference. The amygdala, what we basically call instinctual core, is very significantly developed in case of men, but it is very significantly poorly developed in case of females. Breaks, that's one of the reasons why primarily we say that female behavior in general to sexuality in particular is inhibitory. Gut feelings, very well developed because the very well developed insula. Hormonal symphony, and this is what actually men find it very difficult in communication and a whole lot of such areas, which actually the premenstrual period and ovulation time, or maybe the in between another area, each of these type of things, the behavior can actually work out in a quite different fashion. The mummy brain, the hormones, and what we basically call the pituitary gland. And this is one of the reasons actually one person was telling, sometimes my wife behaves like a girlfriend, sometimes like a lover, sometimes like a mother-in-law, sometimes like mother. That actually, in fact, they have been trained to be actually what we basically call the nurturing. Worry what? In fact, every word actually spoken and every feeling expressed, actually they get worried about. See, a man can imagine, in fact, sex and lot many other things without much hesitation or problems at all. Whereas a woman, in fact, this is actually what I documented. Later, we are going to tell you an important point. With fantasy alone, one of the meta-analysis showed that only about 5% of the women are able to reach orgasm. Why? See, when you tell a woman, in fact, for the arousing to fantasize, she would fantasize her man wearing maybe the lungi, wearing the shorts, wearing the pant, and wearing the suit. No, you got the point? The same person to be imagined, it is not possible actually to what we basically call the arousal to come. And hippocampus never forgets fight, romantic encounter, and tender moments. In fact, these are some of the very important points. In fact, this what mother-in-law was wearing and the daughter-in-law was wearing in 2011, about 3-4 years earlier. This is picking up very small, minute things also, this is possible. I have a colleague whose wife never wears one saree which is worn for one of the marriages for the another marriage. So these are all some of the extremely important points which have actually been documented. More than anything else, what actually happened sometime, what happened maybe at the time of marriage, what happened subsequently, what happened a little while later. In fact, they're all repeated to a great extent, even after 10 years of marriage, 20 years of marriage, 30 years of marriage, repeatedly. Very recently, I had a lady who was complaining about pain around the neck because about a month after marriage, there was some quarrel and he had hit her at that particular point. And now about 20 plus years later, in fact, even today, that particular pain, what actually one has to remember is actually they don't forget, they won't let you forget. This is one of the very typical story in the women's actually as far as their dealings are concerned. So what maximizes sexual happiness? If we try to look at polishing up our erotic techniques and fantasy, becoming physically fit, getting sexy hairstyle, learning 68 and different positions, locating partners' secret erosion zones. None of these things may be true or may be right to some extent, but all new, this thing is actually communication. This is one of the most important points which actually determines a lot of things. Good communication makes all the difference. So this is one of the important carry home message. And when we are trying to talk about the sexuality, very rightly, Dr. Alpesh Gandhiji mentioned about identity, sexual function, which are physiological or pathological. But Levine talks about there is another 7th component, what is called as emotional satisfaction. Those with increased sexual abandon, positive attitude, frequent sex, they continue to be enjoying life much more better fashion than those who carry a personal inhibition, hostile and critical attitudes, and a limited sex. So all through the life, how actually one is brought up, how actually one interprets, a whole lot of differences actually can happen. And when we are trying to talk about sex and sexuality, it's a very broad term. It includes a lot of things. Say one of the important points actually we talk about is what we call whole range of behaviors which are part of sexual this thing. Penetrative sex is actually one which is emphasized. But there is a participative or relational sex or recreational sex which somehow gets actually neglected. Here, the love, intimacy, and sensuality, these are the things which come. And from communication point of view, very simply to put it in how actually one would be looking at. In fact, we all believe that love is the answer for a lot of problems.
तू ही तो जन्नत मेरी, तू ही मेरा जुनून, तू ही तो मन्नत मेरी, तू ही रूह का सुकून.
So, in fact, everybody is looking for the love and happily married. In fact, this is one of the century bed advertisement which speaks, you sleep on this bed, you will feel very comfortable. But unfortunately, many of the times we may be sleeping with the enemies. Happily married person is one, he is here and wife is somewhere. In fact, this is one of the concept actually. The love is the answer, but while you're waiting for the answer, sex raises some pretty good questions is what actually the Woody Allen mentions about. And Sternberg's the love triangle, intimacy and passion, intimacy and commitment, and what you call passion and commitment. These are the things which actually matter, and I will not go into too many details because there are all too many theoretical issues involved. The passion would be very high in the earlier phases of life. Intimacy actually continues to sustain for a long time, and commitment, which actually matters in the later part of the life. And all these type of things can happen for the various reasons and how it actually works out to be. In fact, when you are trying to talk about therapy, intimacy is another big area when we talk for hours together. But what we have found is, if a wife is very happy about the husband, or the husband is happy about wife, there is not much problem at all in management. I married a wrong person. He is not fit for me. He is not up to me. Or in fact, my interest was something totally different. That's where the whole lot of relationship issues that actually crop up and that need to be looked into. And sensuality. In fact, many of the times when we are trying to talk about communication, the non-verbal and other things what we talk about, our senses are extremely important. I still remember I was doing my postgraduate training in NIMHANS quite a bit of time ago. One of the senior PG coming and telling that other girl, your husband was looking at all the women on the road. In fact, her response was very simple. More hungry, that much better. See, that simple change of attitude can bring about a whole lot of things. And many of the times, women telling the husbands not to look at. I still remember one of our own student marrying somebody, and why, in fact, he was there in the library much of the time. What is actually special, he never used to look at the girls and used to sit and read. One of the important point is, if a man is not able to do what actually expected, it may be one of the things that he may be actually work out to be one of the major difficult individual. Maintaining sensuality, in fact, extremely important. I still remember one of the couple, my wife, I am not getting interest nowadays because she doesn't take baths every day and she is not wearing special clothes and a whole lot of such things he was telling. And when this particular issue came for discussion in the therapy, she was telling, please tell him, sir, I am not his girlfriend, I am his wife. Many of the women actually, once married, once they have a child, in fact, they neglect their whole issues to an extent that, in fact, they put on weight, don't show interest in grooming themselves, and can lead to quite a bit of difficulty. So sensuality, when you are trying to talk about, in fact, all of these things are part and parcel of what we basically call, what we basically look at and what actually triggers. In fact, many of the things, what actually triggers for individual to individual, it may be different, but all said and done, one important component what you have to remember is actually the estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone can make a significant role to play in our life. But when you are trying to talk about a woman, it is oxytocin, which is actually responsible for reaching orgasm. And what actually, in fact, the touch is one of the haptics we are talking about. The touch is one of the extremely important component. And when we are trying to talk about management of female sexual dysfunction, it is actually nothing but touch, touch, and touch alone. I am re-emphasizing it again and again, mainly because we are going to talk about sensate focus and lot many things later. But this is one of the extremely important component. That initial sensation, that's where is that special feel hot and lot many other things, that electric sensation, what we talk about, is related to this oxytocin effect. But unfortunately, you ask many couple, see, before marriage, he was so much after me, he was doting boyfriend. But now after marriage, he has lost interest in me. One is actually that winning something, that particular this thing is actually not there. But more than anything else, the tolerance develops for this oxytocin effect very fast. Unless somebody keeps it sustained. See, for example, marriage means 7 fairas. At the end of 7th faira, that holding hand and the touch sensation actually disappears. Unless somebody new girl comes there, he cannot get that same type of sensation. And this is what actually lead to. And what is being suggested is that a man can treat his wife as his girlfriend, and in fact, they are one of the very successful families. And this is one of the things, one of the meta-analytic details. With fantasy alone, only a small percentage of ladies reach orgasm. With intercourse situations, maybe around 29-30%. But with touch, almost about 100% woman can be taken to orgasm. Now, there is nothing like anorgasmia. There is nothing like frigidity. With what we basically call with vibrators, a woman can be taken to orgasm in very significant way. So there are developmental issues which actually matter in this particular whole process. So we're all well aware. We all started as women, and because of the influence of testosterone, male hormone, the fusion, and actually the changes that happen, developmentally speaking, the woman starts her life with a significant negatively, in the sense that I don't have something special what this boy is having. I want to get it. This is one of the explanations given why actually the boys fall in love with the mothers much more than, in fact, the girls fall in love with the fathers much more. This is actually Oedipal complex, electoral complex. These are the terms which have been actually used. And this particular negative feelings, even later, which will be carried. In fact, so much of social media influence is actually attributed to this particular fact that somehow you have to prove some particular point, your importance.
Hey, what's up? What happened? वैक्सीन लिया तो दर्द हो रहा है. वैक्सीन लेते वक्त फोटो नहीं निकाला.
That, in fact, whole emphasis on beauty and related aspects. Whether I will lose it, that other lady is more beautiful. The other lady in the neighborhood, actually, whether she will steal my husband. These are all the negative.
कहाँ हो?
ऑफिस में हो. क्यों, क्या हुआ?
हमारी पड़ोसन भाग गई थी इसलिए पूछा.
पागल है क्या?
This is one of the extremely important component. Developmentally speaking, in fact, we learn what we basically call what we see. The children actually learn by modeling. This applies to both boys and girls. It may be TV or it may be social media, or the parents, how actually they are behaving can make a whole lot of difference. In fact, many of the things are that identity.
Ronaldo, double slinger, Ronaldo! Manchester United win! It's Cristiano Ronaldo!
But if there is a problematic family, where in fact partners are not in friendly fashion, where violence is there, domestic violence, and some of these type of things can create quite a bit of difficulty. And important how the learning happens in case of children. You might have noticed, in fact, the child learns that hitting the mother or hitting the lady is actually absolutely fine. And in the same fashion, there is one of the very interesting area, how actually, in fact, the domestic violence and other related things will have such a significant communication.
ये सब क्या है? नहीं यार, मान्या शादी कर रहे हैं. आदित्य, अंदर जाके खेलो. पापा देखो, हम शादी कर रहे हैं.
अरे बाबा, तुम्हारी शादी हो जाएगी. अभी आदित्य अंदर जाकर खेलो.
नो, अभी. You like me? Yes, you like me? Ha.
और शादी के बाद क्या करोगे?
मैं पापा जैसे सुबह उठूंगा और रेडी होऊंगा।
और फिर?
मन्ना मुझे बैग देगी और मैं ऑफिस जाऊंगा। ऑफिस में बहुत सारा पेपर साइन करूंगा और बहुत पैसा मिलेगा।
So cute, man.
And then?
फिर मैं घर आऊंगा।
अच्छा, और फिर मानिया क्या करेगी?
बहुत कुछ।
और घर आके तुम क्या करोगे?
फिर मैं उसे मारूंगा। फिर मैं आराम से दरवाजा बंद करूंगा और सो जाऊंगा। नो, सोने से पहले मैं खाना लाऊंगी और आप शो करके प्लेट फेंक देंगे। ओके।
These kids grow up believing it's okay to violate women. Look within. Women's safety begins at home.
So this is one aspect of what we call the developmental, that means which can carry a negative this thing. But we are all basically born to be friendly. And this is there inherently in us. Don't neglect what we basically call, in fact, these hugs or the touch, these are extremely important components in the individual's life. What is basically called, there's a what called as touch hunger. Somebody is missing. In fact, when in our clinical practice, we come across ladies with multiple somatic complaints, aches and pains, burning vagina syndrome, whole burning body sensation, and lot many other things. One of the important point actually we emphasize is that this is actually something missing. And one important point, the parents have a significant role to play in this whole process. The child learns what actually.
Nice. Let's go all night. Oh, my turn.
So the love and affection is one of the very important component, and what you should remember. Adolescent is one of the very critical period where the communication and other related aspects, in fact, significant withdrawal of the girls and boys actually behaving quite differently. This is what actually we mentioned to you a few minutes back, but all said and done. So when somewhere around that 40s and 50s, there's a significant increase in what we basically call the woman's interest in sexual activity, mainly because all the inhibitory female hormones have got reduced. And man, there is a significant decrement because maybe the age, maybe the metabolic syndromes, and lot many of these things actually which lead to quite a bit of difficulty in life. So behavioral issues, few of those things what we should remember is, between men and women, there is a wide difference between how actually they can do. Multitasking is one of the very important aspect one should remember as far as the females are concerned. But man, he can do multiple jobs related to the how to write the office letter and various things like that. And this is one of the reasons which it actually leads to quite a bit of difficulty. You have told him some things, but he is almost always worried about all the office related work rather than actually few points what actually you are trying to tell. Men cannot differentiate what is nice and good and lot many of these things people. In fact, ladies also develop a whole lot of techniques actually to manage this. The women decide that the husband is a tasteless fellow, and one of the what he says, I like it, actually pick up that with one which is not related. And men cannot do a lot of things. In fact, multitasking is not possible. And when you are trying to talk about communication, be considerate to your husband for this particular reason. In fact, I am actually going in favor of husbands, how actually they should be taken care of. Men actually they are not meant for doing all this type of many of these type of things. They are very poor in left. In fact, Zugad is one of the very typical story of men. And I have come across quite a few ladies complaining about husband is so uncouth and a whole lot of such these things. They're all related to maybe some extent testosterone. These are all typical stories related to the men. In fact, I can go on maybe about 100 different videos I can show, but all said and done, men are basically driven by certain things, what energy and force, which actually women find it very difficult and uncouth, and a lot many other terminologies are used. Unfortunately, this multitasking, given too much of these things, and one of the most important thing in when actually managing female sexuality is making her free. I still remember very clearly, just about a month ago, we had one two IT couple. This lady gets up early in the morning, prepares food, and she has to take this vehicle to train to Bangalore. She finishes the work, comes back, and she's so tired. I'm not able to get what we basically call sexual desire. The whole issue was actually having some maid who can take care of the house, maybe cooking and some of the household needs. She can get herself a lot of things. Unless you give enough sufficient, in fact, the leisure, freedom, and lot many other things to the woman, and expecting actually can lead to quite a bit of difficulty. And there are a lot of things are there. The linguistic and mathematical, these are the two important points actually one can look at. Women are extraordinarily great as far as the language is concerned. Men are absolutely poor as far as in one given minute, how many words a man can speak. In 1 hour, how much he can speak. In fact, there are a lot of such issues are there. but women are been endowed with what?
नहीं, मैं तो बहरी हूँ, मेरा बाप बहरा था, मेरी माँ बहरी थी, मेरा तो पूरा खानदान ही बहरा है ना? सुनाई तो बस तुम्हारे घर वालों को देता है, जो मैं बोलती हूँ वो भी सुन लेते हैं, जो मैं नहीं बोलती वो भी सुन लेते हैं, और तो और वो तुम्हारी 200 साल की अम्मा हर वो बात सुन लेती जो मैंने कही नहीं होती, और तो और यहाँ तक कि तुम्हारे घर का कुत्ता भी सुनता है, लेकिन मुझे और मेरे खानदान को नहीं सुनाई देता, है ना?
This is one of the very significant. Only area where people have documented the research is actually regarding the mathematics. In fact, men can score little higher on that particular area, but though there are exceptions are there, Shakuntala Devi and lot many things. But women's logic of finances is actually something totally different.
इन 2 टी-शर्ट के कितने पैसे हो गए भैया? 3000 हो गए भैया. ये लो भैया काट लो.
अरे तुम पेमेंट क्यों कर रहे हो? बर्थडे तुम्हारा है, ये मेरी तरफ से गिफ्ट है, पेमेंट मैं करूंगी.
अरे एक ही बात है, तूने किया मैंने किया एक ही बात.
अरे नहीं, मैं करूंगी पेमेंट.
अरे मैंने किया तूने किया, क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार? लो भैया.
अरे नहीं, आई एम इंडिपेंडेंट गर्ल, पेमेंट मैं करूंगी.
अच्छा चल ठीक है, तू कर दे.
ये लो भैया पेमेंट काट लो.
And one of the other important thing is actually the language. Only where the mobile comes into handy is actually.
हाँ ठीक ही लग रही हो.
अच्छा बस कर दो, ठीक है, मैंने तुम्हें कहा है अपना फोन छोड़ दो. जब तुम मेरे साथ होते ना, तुम अपना फोन मत इस्तेमाल किया करो, लेकिन तुमने हमेशा अपना फोन इस्तेमाल करना था. जब मैं तुम्हारे साथ बैठी थी, मैं तंग आ गई हूँ. I don't want you to use the phone, ठीक है? It's all
Man has to understand. In fact, men find it very difficult. In fact, when we are trying to talk about psychotherapy, the language, communication, and lot many of these issues are extremely important components. Men find it some of these aspects extremely difficult.
बोलो ना क्या सोच रहे हो?
यार कुछ नहीं सोच रहा, ऐसे देख रहा हूँ.
ऐसे क्या कर दीवार को देख सकते हो? तो पूछ रहे हो?
अरे यार मर्द दीवार को देख सकते हैं बिना कुछ सोचे, हमारा फ्रीक्वेंसी बंद हो सकता है एक टाइम पे.
किसके बारे में सोच रहे हो बताओ अभी कभी?
अरे किसी के बारे में नहीं सोच रहा है, मैं सिर्फ दीवार को देख रहा हूँ सामने.
पूजा के बारे में सोच रहे हो ना?
कौन पूजा?
हाँ तुम्हें तो याद रहेगा उसका नाम, फिगर पे ही तो तुम्हारा ध्यान रहता है. तुम इंटरेस्टेड ही नहीं हो मतलब. बताओ मेरे फ्रेंड का नाम बताओ.
अरे यार प्रियंका.
बड़ा याद है तुम्हें. हाँ क्या चल रहा है तुम्हारा चक्कर उस चुड़ैल के साथ?
कौन सा चक्कर यार? तूने नाम पूछा था तो मैंने बता दिया.
ये बाल किसका है? हाँ ये बाल किसके हैं बताओ?
अरे मेरे थोड़े हैं, मेरे तो देख ले इतने दे तो बाल है.
ये हेजल कलर के बाल है, मेरे बाल ब्राउन है, समझ में आना? और हेयर फॉल नहीं होता मेरा.
अब मैं इस बाल का क्या डीएनए टेस्ट कराऊं पता करने के लिए किसका बाल है? मुझे क्या पता किसका बाल है? तेरा झड़ गया होगा यार.
तुम मुझसे प्यार नहीं करते पहले से, तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए मेरे बालों का कलर क्या है.
बाल तेरे झड़े, बेड पे मेरे झड़े, मेरे मुंह में आकर रात को सोते हुए मेरा प्यार कहां से आ गया? इस बात पे ये बता मेरे को.
तुम चाहते क्या हो?
शांति.
शांति? कौन शांति?
अबे दीवार वाली शांति. मैं शांति से अपने ही घर की दीवार को घूरना चाहता हूँ, बिना तेरी पट 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 के कर सकता हूँ.
Do whatever you want.
Thank you.
पूजा की बर्थडे के लिए ड्रेस तो बहुत अच्छी है. क्या सोच रहे हो?
Men find it very difficult because the language is one of the most difficult area. You have some more time means I can go on to another about 15-20 minutes, or otherwise I'll try to reduce some of these movies.
Absolutely okay, sir. We can continue.
Continue. How actually, in fact, many women determine that love is actually expressed in a certain particular way. To get that, they use the words which are actually, men actually find it very difficult.
भाई मुझे भूख लग रही है. I think I'm going to grab a sub. तुम कुछ खाओगे?
Yeah, okay. I'll also have a sub.
Anything specific?
तुम क्या खा रहे हो?
Chicken.
I'll also have chicken. अच्छा हाँ, just one thing. वो ना तंदूरी चिकन या टिक्का टाइप इंडियन कुछ मत लाना. Get me something continental. Smoked chicken.
हाँ, smoked chicken. Okay.
अरे listen. Get me a sandwich in a multi-grain bread. It's healthier.
Smoked chicken, multi-grain bread.
हाँ.
Okay.
अरे बेबी, यहाँ पर बहुत सारे अनियंस डाल देते हैं. It's just उसको बोलना no jalapenos, no onions in my sandwich. I want only lettuce and olives. 2 things.
No jalapenos, no onions.
Yeah. अरे हाँ, very important. Just tell them कि I want my sandwich toasted, not grilled.
एक ही तो बात है।
नहीं बेबी, there's a world of difference. टोस्टेड का मतलब होता है जब वो सैंडविच बनाने से पहले ब्रेड को टोस्ट करते हैं, और ग्रिल्ड होता है जब सैंडविच बनाने के बाद ग्रिल करते हैं. So I want it toasted, not grilled.
Okay, toasted. Multigrain, smoked chicken, no jalapenos, no onions, lettuce and olives. Toasted, not grilled.
Yes. Baby, you got it now.
Yeah. और कुछ?
नहीं. अरे बेबी. अरे I totally forgot. I don't want any mustard in my sandwich. I hate the taste of it. हाँ, उसको बोला चिली सॉस देखा बहुत सारी सेपरेट. ये क्या है?
चिली सॉस क्या? बाद में आके देख.
ये stupid अलग से देगा.
ओके. अच्छा मैं कोल्ड कॉफी लेने वाला हूँ. तुम कोल्ड कॉफी लोगे?
Yeah, okay.
स्पेसिफिकेशन कोल्ड कॉफी.
Don't be silly यार. कोल्ड कॉफी क्या? नॉर्मली होती है, नॉर्मल फ्रैपे. उसमें सिर्फ इतना बोलना कि मेरी कोल्ड कॉफी में ना स्लिम मिल्क डालेगा, 1 sachet of sugar and a double shot of coffee. याद रहेगा ना बेबी? मैं आऊँ क्या? I love you.
अभी अंदर वो मोटा वाला मेरा है. हाँ यार. भूख लगी हुई है.
This is multigrain bread, na? There's no mustard also. Show me on. I have this one.
multigrain bread नहीं है. बहुत सारे चिकन टिक्का.
Sorry, sir.
ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಹೊಡಿಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತವ್ರೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋದಾಗ್ಲೂ ಹೊಡಿತಾನೆ.
Hello. Sorry, sir, to interrupt. Everyone, please keep yourself in mute mode. Apurva, just make everyone mute.
One is
yes, I am muted.
Oh, okay.
One is actually the specific. You love me means this should happen in this particular way. In fact, the communication language. The other one is actually between the lines. In fact, this is actually men find it very, very difficult.
The kale papdi chaat is amazing here.
Hey, they have nachni upma also.
Even the sweet potato, onion, cream, coconut flavor soup is superb.
And how?
In fact, order anything blindly.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so cold, na?
It's nice. Sir, are you ready with the order? Yes, I'll have the Nikoi salad and the kale papdi chaat. Maybe?
I have this.
Yeah, the slow roast chicken sandwich. Very nice. Good choice.
Hope you enjoyed your meal, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it was very nice. Thanks. क्यों बेबी खाना अच्छा नहीं लगा?
खाना तो अच्छा था लेकिन तुम्हारा एटीट्यूड अच्छा नहीं लगा.
मैंने क्या किया?
I told you ना. मैनेजमेंट से जाके पूछो अगर एसी ऑफ कर सकते हैं तो कर दें, नहीं तो एटलीस्ट टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज कर दें, या फिर एटलीस्ट गाड़ी में से मेरी शॉल ला दो. पटना थी.
ये सब कब कहा तुमने?
कहा तो था. I told you it's so cold. It's so cold, ना?
It's nice. You meant all this. अभी ले आओ जल्दी.
अब क्या फायदा बेबी? अब तो जा रहे हैं ना. You should be a little proactive.
Sorry. Hands are really cold, yeah.
Let's go. जल्दी मैं रेडी हुई ना?
हो गई ना?
हाँ.
गुड, चलो टैक्सी वेट कर रही है. Yo, baby, you look upset.
तुमसे तो कुछ एक्सपेक्ट ही नहीं करना चाहिए. तुम तो मांग के भी कॉम्प्लीमेंट नहीं दे सकते.
कब मांगा था?
पूछा तो था. Is my dress looking okay? Is this matching? Is my hair okay? Am I looking nice? अरे जब मैं बाहर आई थी, I said ना, जल्दी मैं रेडी हुई हूँ. जल्दी मैं रेडी हुई ना?
हो गई ना?
हाँ.
But baby, you always look nice. I get confused ना, कब compliment करूँ? Thank you.
Oh, you're having another one?
Yeah. You want?
Okay.
One for the lady, please. Nice party, huh?
Yeah. I.
Cheers. चलो पूजा के नहीं जाना?
अब क्या फायदा? अब तो लेट हो गया. जब कहा था तब निकलना चाहिए था. When I told you, चलते हैं, पूजा के घर जाना है. She has to go somewhere, so we have to reach her house early.
When did you say all this, baby?
अरे I said ना, are you having another one? Oh, you're having another one. Okay.
I didn't realize, baby.
You should be a little proactive, baby. Sit now.
I'll get a repeat only then, if you're not.
Baby.
हाँ?
इस महीने का 3rd weekend है ना? That's the long weekend.
अभी से प्लान कर लेता हूँ. ट्यूसडे को इनवॉइस नहीं भेज पाऊंगा, वेडनेसडे को भेजना पड़ेगा. ओके. अरे यार, ये क्या कवर्ड खोल के कर रही हो? It's a long weekend, चलो पॉलिडियम चलते हैं. सी फूड फेस्टिवल चल रहा है और शाम को आईमैक्स में पिक्चर देख के आ जाएंगे. व्हाट्स इट?
अच्छा, तुम प्लान बना रहे हो? आप प्लान बना रहे हो? उस दिन जब मैंने तुमसे कहा था कि 2 दिन के लिए मुंबई से बाहर चलते हैं, इट्स बीन अ लॉन्ग टाइम, वी नीड अ ब्रेक, तब क्यों नहीं बनाया? पैलेडियम तो कभी भी जा सकते हैं, उसके लिए लॉन्ग वीकेंड की क्या जरूरत थी? Now don't tell me you don't know when I said that.
No, baby. Now that you say, I remember. उस दिन मैं यहाँ बैठा हुआ था, तुम वहाँ कुछ कर रही थी, and you said इस महीने का 3rd weekend is a long weekend.
Exactly. And you said that I'll be prepared. ये preparation किया तुमने? पैलेडियम जाएंगे? Come on, baby. Now you should start being a little proactive now. ये मेड को क्या हो गया है? ना फोन उठा रही है, ना आ रही है.
आएगी भी नहीं, बेबी.
क्यों?
निकाल क्या दिया? हक्काल दिया मैंने उसे.
क्यों लेकिन? What did she do?
What did she do? अरे तुम्ही ने तो कहा था काम चोर हो गई है, बर्तन ठीक से धोती नहीं, गीला पोछा मारती है, कपड़े बाहर छोड़ गई, आर्ग्यू करती है.
मैंने कब कहा?
याद करो, इस मेड ने दिमाग खराब कर रखा है.
ये मेड ने ना दिमाग खराब कर रखा है.
याद आया?
अरे लेकिन ये कब कहा था कि उसे नौकरी से निकाल दो?
पर ये तो कहा था ना that I have to be proactive. This is me being proactive, taking charge.
हे भगवान, why do you have to read between the lines? अगर मुझे कुछ बोलना होता है तो मैं क्लियरली बोलती हूँ ना. अगर मेड को निकालना होता तो मैं बोलती कि मेड को निकालना है. Why do you have to assume so much, baby? इतनी मुश्किल से इतनी अच्छी मेड मिली थी, अब झाड़ू पोछा कौन करेगा यार?
मैं करूँगा.
वॉचमैन को कॉल करना पड़ेगा, फिर से मेड ढूंढनी पड़ेगी यार अच्छी.
To read or not to read between the lines? मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ, read between the lines का concept ही flawed है, क्योंकि lines के बीच कुछ होता नहीं है. It is only guesswork. And men are bad at guessing. Husbands are designed to take orders. Give us a task, we'll do it. Show us a target, we'll go for it like hunters. Tell me I have to do jhadu pocha and I'll go find a maid.
Subscribe to FI.
Okay, there's another one important point. Women find it very difficult to express certain things, but they're all coded in certain ways, which men find it almost very difficult to decode. This is one of the very interesting video which is there.
उस पूछने को भी एक मर्द कभी नहीं समझ पाता, क्योंकि मर्द सीधे होते हैं और औरतें बिल्कुल
ये हमारे दोस्त मोहसिन हमें ज्वाइन किया है और ये हर हफ्ते कुछ गिला शिकवा लेकर आते हैं. आज मोहसिन, आप क्या सुनाना चाह रहे हैं हमें?
आज का मसला वासे भाई बहुत गंभीर है.
अच्छा.
सोचें बेगम आपसे नाराज हो गई.
अच्छा.
टेंशन हो जाती है और आप चाहते हैं कि मजीद टेंशन ना बढ़े तो फौरन ही पूछ लेते हैं, बेबी क्या बात है? जवाब आता है कुछ नहीं. ये कुछ नहीं बहुत खतरनाक है वासे. बहुत रिस्की है. ये ऐसा है कि आप कैच हैं और विकेट कीपर कामरान अकमल. आप सिंध हैं और भुट्टो जिंदा है. ये कुछ नहीं इतना खतरनाक है कि मीटू पर टॉक शो चल रहा है और गेस्ट खलीलुर रहमान का मरे. आप फिर पूछते हैं बेबी बताओ ना क्या बात। आगे से जवाब आता है कह रही हूं ना कुछ नहीं। अब आपको मजीद टेंशन नहीं है, आपका दिमाग बिजली की तेजी से चल रहा है कि ऐसा क्या हुआ है कि बात कुछ नहीं तक कैसे पहुंच गई है। इसको कोई ऐसा मैसेज तो नहीं मिल गया जो छुपाया हुआ था। फोन में किसी लड़की की तस्वीर तो नहीं देख ली है, किसी पुरानी गर्लफ्रेंड का तो पता नहीं चल गया जिससे आजकल मिल रहा हूं, क्योंकि जाहिर सी बात है भंड पता चलेगा तो डिफेंड करेंगे। इस सोच विचार में 5-8 मिनट निकलते हैं कि आवाज आती है, सी तुम्हें परवाह ही नहीं है मेरी, मैं नाराज हूं और तुम पूछ ही नहीं रहे। बहरी हो गई हो क्या? बार बार पूछ तो रहा हूं, बकवास कर तो रहा हूं कि क्या हुआ है क्या हुआ है, तुमने ही कुछ नहीं की रट लगाई हुई है। लेकिन ये आपने दिल में कहा, मुंह से नहीं निकला।
ऐसा सीख रही हूँ काम आएगा आगे।
बेबी पूछ तो रहा हूं क्या हुआ है, बता दो ना। वैसे मुझे पता है मेरी कोई गलती होगी, मैं माफी मांग। रहने दो, जब पता ही नहीं है तो माफी क्यों मांग रहे? अबे औरत ड्रैग क्यों कर रही है? बता देना कि क्या गलती हुई है, पता चलेगा तो माफी मांगूंगा, वही तो आएगी नहीं मुझे।
ऐसे बोलना
ये आपने दिल में कहा है। क्योंकि आप तो डिफेंसिव चल रहे, भंड का पता नहीं है।
बिल्कुल।
बेबी पूछ तो रहा हूं, बता दो ना प्लीज। पहले पूछना नहीं पड़ता था तुम्हें, बगैर कहे सब जान लेते थे, लेकिन तुम पहले जैसे रहे कहां हो, तुम बदल गए हो। इसी को तो एवोल्यूशन कहते हैं, डार्विन भाई की थ्योरी है, बदलना इंसान की फितरत है। और अगर ऐसा ना होता तो तुम आज चिंपैंजी होती फीमेल और मैं मेल चिंपैंजी, और इस वक्त हम एक दूसरे की लंच में जुएं खा रहे हो। ऐसा आपने दिल में कहा। बेबी मुझे पता है मेरी ही किसी बात से तुम्हें तकलीफ पहुंची। अचानक से आवाज आती, डू यू लव मी? आप कहते हैं हाँ, लेकिन उससे तो मुझे तकलीफ पहुंच रही है ना मैं लव करता और ना ये खज्जल ख्वारी हो रही होती। और ऐसा वासे भाई आपने
दिल में कहना,
रिलेट कर रहे हैं आप
ना।
लेकिन ये सबसे खतरनाक मरहला, क्योंकि आप कहानी की प्रोग्रेस दे रहे हैं। हम शुरू कहां से हुए थे? कुछ नहीं से पहुंच कहां गए? शी इज आस्किंग डू यू लव मी। और ये एक ऐसा सवाल है जिसका तसल्ली बख्श जवाब न किसी मर्द के पास था, न है और न होगा। इस सारे मसले से निकलने का एक हल है। When you can't convince her, confuse her। नहीं समझे? समझा? सबसे तो पहले आपने आंखों में देखना है प्यार से और दोनों हाथों को थाम लेना है। उसने गुस्से से गर्दन मोड़ लेनी है, लेकिन आपने घबराना नहीं है, गर्दन वापस आएगी। जैसा मैं कह रहा हूं करते थे, पहला तीर निशाने पर फेंक। ये भी मैं सोच रहा हूं आज रात का खाना कहीं बाहर खा। हिलिए गर्दन थोड़ी सीधी, अभी पूरी नहीं मुड़ी। जवाब आता है मुझे कहीं नहीं जाना, लेकिन घबराना नहीं है। दूसरा कुछ देर खामोशी से बैठे रहना है और फिर देख कर, अच्छा छोड़ो ना ये, और ये तुमने अपना हाल क्या बना लिया? क्या पहना हुआ है तुमने? ये बालों का, बेबी तुम बिल्कुल अपना ख्याल नहीं रखती यार। दिस इज नॉट फेयर। हर वक्त मेरे लिए परेशान रहती हो, मेरे कामों में बिजी रहती हो। नहीं यार, मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया, पहले हम जाएंगे पार्लर, फिर मैं तुम्हें शॉपिंग कराऊंगा और उसके बाद डिनर। हॉरर फिल्मों में भूत या चुड़ैल की शक्ल अचानक तेजी से 180 डिग्री पे मुड़ती है ना, ऐसे ही बेबी की गर्दन आपकी तरफ मुड़ी। और इस बार इससे पहले कि वो कुछ कहे, आपने तीसरा और आखिरी तीर फेंकना। तुम अभी तक बैठी क्यों हो? कम ऑन गेट रेडी यार, वी आर गेटिंग लेट। और इस बार वो खामोशी से उठकर चली गई। अब पार्लर जाते हुए, ड्राइव करते हुए गाड़ी में आपने लगाना है एक रोमांटिक गाना। बेबी अभी थोड़ी सी नाराज है, शीशे से बाहर देख रहे। फिर पार्लर के बाद 3 घंटे वेट, और उसमें आप यही सोच रहे हैं कि वो भंड कौन सा है जिसकी वजह से ये ख्वारी हो रही है। फिर शॉपिंग पर बहुत सारा खर्चा, और फिर डिनर पर बेबी के नए हेयर कट की तारीफ। वापसी में लॉन्ग ड्राइव पर फिर एक लगाना है रोमांटिक गाना। लेकिन इस दफा हालात बदल चुके। बेबी खिड़की से बाहर नहीं देखी। बेबी ने आपका हाथ थामा हुआ है और उसकी गर्दन है आपके कंधे पर। मिशन कुछ नहीं, accomplished. आप मुस्कुराकर बीवी को देखते हैं और पूछते हैं, बेबी क्या सोच रही? जवाब आता है, कुछ नहीं.
I knew it. I knew it. Oh my God, very nice. Very nice. ये कुछ नहीं, मैंने वाकई आपने कहा बहुत कुछ होता है. सही था वो.
आप agree करती हैं इस चीज़ से?
100%. 100%.
आपने इस्तेमाल किए कुछ नहीं?
हमेशा, अभी तक सब औरतें करती हैं, आपके घर में भी करते होंगे. ये कुछ नहीं चलता है.
कुछ नहीं चलता है, मगर
बहुत कुछ होता है.
मगर क्या होता है, या एक हवाई फायर भी होता है, जिस तरह कह रहे थे कि कुछ नहीं बस
वो बस होता है जब बस मूड नहीं है, वो मूड स्विंग्स होते हैं ना, तो बस कुछ नहीं फिर आ जाता है. उस कुछ नहीं को फिर एक मर्द कभी नहीं समझ पाता, क्योंकि मर्द सीधे होते हैं और औरतें बिल्कुल जनेटी की तरह.
ये मैंने कुछ नहीं कहा. कुछ नहीं कहा मैंने.
इमोशंस की भरमार होती है उनके अंदर.
इमोशंस की भरमार होती है.
मर्द को होते कि सीधी बात करो यार, मुझे सीधी बात समझ आ रही है, राइट?
There are a few more, just very brief videos are there. We'll just try to play. In fact, these are all good learning experiences for men, because how to handle your wife, I think this is one of the lesson what you'll be carrying. There are some questions very difficult to answer.
Baby, am I looking fat?
In fact, to save skin, better not to answer some of these things. And many of the times, the woman's this thing would be for very lighter this thing, the whole lot of emphasis will become, which actually men find it very difficult actually. In fact, this is one more other area where we have to have a little bit of.
मैं सोच रही हूँ मैं अपने बाल कटवा लूँ.
कटवा लो.
इतनी मुश्किल से तो लंबे किए थे.
तो ना कटवाओ.
लेकिन आजकल छोटे बालों का फैशन चल रहा है.
तो कटवा लो.
आपको तो लंबे बाल पसंद है.
तो ना कटवाओ.
लेकिन छोटे बाल मुझे पसंद है.
तो कटवा लो.
नहीं, फिर लंबे बालों की चोटियां बनती है और छोटे बालों की नहीं बनती.
ना कटवाओ.
मुझ पे छोटे बाल सूट नहीं करते.
कटवा लो.
हाँ, लेकिन मुझे तो लंबे बाल अच्छे लग रहे हैं.
तो फिर ना कटवाओ.
आपको याद है सीमा, वो जो शादी पे मिली थी, उसको छोटे बाल कितने सूट कर रहे थे?
तो फिर कटवा लो.
और अगर मुझे सूट ना किए बाल तो
फिर ना कटवा.
लेकिन लंबे बाल संभालना बहुत मुश्किल है.
तो कटवा लो.
लंबे बालों में चुटिया अच्छी लगती है और छोटे बालों में चुटिया नहीं होती.
तो फिर ना कटवाओ.
लेकिन आजकल चुटिया का फैशन भी तो नहीं रहा.
कटवा लो.
छोटे बालों के स्टाइल कम बनते हैं.
तो फिर ना कटवाओ.
लंबे बाल सिर्फ जूड़ा बनते हैं.
तो कटवा लो.
ओफो, इनकी ट्रिमिंग बहुत मस्त.
ना कटवाओ.
मैं सोच रही हूँ कि लंबे बाल रख ही लेती हूँ.
कटवा लो.
लेकिन शॉर्ट बाल ज्यादा आजकल चल रहे हैं.
ना कटवाओ. कटवा लो. ना कटवाओ. कटवा लो. ना कटवाओ. कटवा लो. कटवा लो. कटवा लो. कटवा लो.
In fact, what actually has been documented, Valen, she comes out with 4 different type of women who drive the man to the alcohol. Controlling Catherine, punitive Polly, suffering Susan, wavering Winfred. In fact, there are different types of personalities. In fact, how actually some of the behaviors actually which can trigger. One more other area which actually I find it very difficult.
वो पसंद है नहीं, ये तो पसंद आ रहा है, रंग तो बड़ा प्यारा है, लेकिन क्वालिटी अच्छी नहीं है ना इसकी क्वालिटी अच्छी है पर रंग अच्छा नहीं लग रहा। नहीं, लाल तो अच्छा है, रेड में लाल नहीं है, नहीं पीला तो अच्छा है, लेकिन वैसे 3 पड़े हुए हैं भैया, ये पहन भी रखा है मैंने, कुछ और दिखाओ ना। ये वाला अच्छा है भैया, लेकिन थान में से दो, कलर अच्छा है बहुत, लेकिन इसके झुमके नहीं मिलेंगे। फिर एक काम करो, आप पहले झुमका दिखा दो, फिर कलर डिसाइड कर लेते हैं ना। आप एक काम करो, कोई विदाउट कलर है, ये ऊपर से चौथा दिखाना, वो आपने तीसरे पे रखा है, चौथा वो दूसरा कर दिया आपने, चौथा वो उधर है। नहीं रहने दो भाई, बेकार लग रहा है। ये इतना अच्छा लग रहा था ना भैया, लेकिन आप कह रहे हो बिक गया है। कुछ ऐसा नहीं है अच्छा जो बिका हुआ ना हो। ये कलर जुराबों के साथ नहीं जाएगा, फिर ये जूतों के साथ नहीं जाएगा, नहीं इसकी लिपस्टिक अलग से खरीदनी पड़ेगी, आप डबल खर्चा करवा रहे हो मेरा। ये बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, लेकिन हस्बैंड नहीं जाते ना इसके साथ मेरे, ऐसे कलर के हस्बैंड पड़े भैया, वो क्यों नहीं दिखा रहे, वो कितना अच्छा लग रहा है। अच्छा, दूसरे की दुकान का है, उसी से ले लेते।
These are, in fact, one of the most confusing thing is actually one of the wife demanded that she want a brinjal color saree. This fellow went to the market to see what is that brinjal color. See, men are not made for many of these type of things. In fact, better is you have to make the decision. They are not good in lot of things. In fact, one of the things is nurturing and other behaviors, what we talk about. This is one of the aspects which actually people have documented that men are, there is another only one video, I think we'll just skip it. One of the most important things is actually your capacity to appreciate. This is one of the very important area where men actually fail significantly because
भाभी बहुत मजे की बिरयानी बनी है, मजा आ गया। ये तो साइमा ने बनाई, हमारी मेड बहुत अच्छी बिरयानी बनाती है।
This is what actually man need not have to write. In fact, you have to be trained in this particular area when to be silent. In fact, this is one of the things which can quite sometimes people, in fact, to overcome, there are a lot of things are done. And one of the important things is actually...
Are you golfing today?
Yeah.
It's the second time this week.
But you said it was fine.
It is fine. It's perfectly fine.
Are you confused by female behavior? Wish you had a translator to understand what she means? Well, you're in luck. Introducing the Manslater, a revolutionary device that translates woman language into simple man words. Finally, the power to know what she means.
Okay, cool. Let me just check with my wife. Hey, babe, a tea time open up later. You mind if I go?
Fine. If that's what you want to do.
Don't go! Stay home!
On second thought, I think I'll just stay here with you and watch The Notebook.
Aw, how sweet.
Now that's more like it. The Manslater uses emotion deciphering technology to help you out of the toughest jams.
Hey, is everything okay? You sound upset.
Why would I be upset?
Forgot anniversary, jerk!
Oh, no way! Happy anniversary, babe.
You remembered.
Come on, of course I did.
Thanks to the Manslater's patented FemLogic processing chip, now any man can decode statements like,
Are you wearing that?
"You change now."
Hey, do you want to get some coffee?
Me want coffee.
Do you think she's pretty?
You think she?
prettier than me?
Oh, you're such a good friend.
Me never date you.
I'm fine.
Me not fine.
I'll be ready in 5 minutes.
Me ready 30 minutes.
Do whatever you want.
You know do what you want.
So there are multiple methods actually people have. In fact, one of this is actually a clue for the husbands actually how to overcome taking up too much of burden. So how to improve communication? Another about maybe 5-10 minutes. I'll just take it and close it. There are a lot of things actually one should remember. And one important point is actually sex is one of the very important aspects. You just cannot say that it doesn't matter. There are a lot of things actually, how to control our emotions, be realistic. One of the most important point, the social skills actually to manage those things is actually one of the extremely important. And it all depends upon how in our childhood we have been actually. In fact, the sex education or communication, in fact, starts in the womb itself, from the birth, all through the year. What actually being suggested is age appropriate, medically accurate, culturally competent education which need to be actually provided. Creative, facilitative sex expressions there are many of the points actually people have mentioned. Don't assume anything. Be honest but sensitive. Don't fake. In fact, this is actually considered to be one of the most important problems. In fact, women faking orgasm and a lot many other things. In fact, there are a whole lot of literature available on that point. What turns you on? What are the fantasies? How you can tell this and how you can be sincere. I still remember one of the patient, he was not able to tell anything good about this thing. Wife, I prepare such a nice food and in fact, this fellow doesn't appreciate this. We trained him actually how to tell that food is prepared nicely and what to tell. The way he told, she got angry that that whole sambar vessel, she had poured it on the individual's head. Respect other person's right to be in the good mood. Don't use coitus as a lever. Be willing to do special things for your lover. Learn to listen. So there are a lot of things are there, encouraging freedom, overcoming stereotypes, and expecting, in fact, learning certain things actually, which actually one person can be positive. Whole lot of things we need to look into. And many of the times, women actually making very critical comment, men making very critical comment could be one of the major common problem for divorce and lot many other things. So the carry home message, some important points. No sexual dysfunction can be treated in isolation. Individual seen in the context of relationship. And for this, the communication is one of the most key important point which actually works out in its favor.
Marriage is a one-time admission for a lifetime education where your graduation day will never come. So if you're married, okay, be married and be happy. If you're not married, be unmarried and very happy. The choice is yours. But if you're married, every day it is a new experience with the same person. You're married to a girl and she became a wife. And once you're married to a wife, you're not only marrying to one girl, you're marrying to the integrated package. In-laws, mother, father. Only then you will know, oh my God, just because I love her, I need to pretend like loving everybody. Instead of pretending like loving everybody, it is better not to love her only. The same with her. The same with the woman also. But no other choice. You need to get into this marriage game. Because From the first day till the last day of your birth, you can never find a person who is going to think in a way you want. Even if you find them, you will never find a single person who will talk to you in a way you want them to talk. Even if they talk in the same way you want them to talk, they will never think only good thing for you. Not possible. The only person who is available to think good about your own self and talk good about your own self all the time is just you. But the game that you're missing here is the mother and father has done enough to you to make you rise. The society has done enough to you. And above all, the universe will never feel enough how much you're ready to give. But you're not understanding what you're supposed to do. You want your loved one to be happy. There is no second intention. But you're missing the fundamental requirement. When you're not happy, they cannot get happiness from you. Even though you don't want them to be happy. Literally, you're not bothered about anybody. But when you're happy, whoever is coming in contact with you, they will be. So what is the real requirement to make them happy? Enjoy your relationship. Be happy with them. And to be happy with them, the first thing you need to do is what? You be happy.
Once actually the relatives get into the picture, the communication, actually the whole issue becomes a little more complicated. And that's what actually when we are trying to do therapy and all like that, when husband and wife come, it is so easy. Once her relatives and his relatives get into the picture, sometimes it becomes quite a difficult job actually to do. And one important lesson in life in whole specimen actually, you give respect, you'll get respect. You don't give respect means you'll actually likely to land up with problem. And one important point was
a female is designed by God to receive. And whatever she receives, she incubates, multiplies it, and gives it back to the male. She was built to do that. So whatever you give a woman, she'll receive it, multiply it, and give it back to you. Whatever you give a woman, are you listening, brothers? She'll never give you back what you gave her. She'll multiply it first. She's designed that way. If you give a woman a sperm, you'll never get a sperm back. She'll multiply it, give you a baby. If you give her a house, she'll multiply it, give you a home. If you give her groceries, she'll give you a meal. If you give her frustration, she'll multiply it. Yeah. So, brothers, if you don't like what you are getting, change what you're giving.
So the important carry home message is one of the ways actually to overcome, you are a multitasker, a woman. Husbands are absolutely not made for that. In fact, this is one of the women who gave the husband the chit containing all the things what he need to bring the market in such simple terms. See, a man, you tell him 1 kg rice, he will bring it. You will tell him 1 kg brinjal, he will bring it. Rice, brinjal, and coriander means actually he will get confused. So this is one of the important points you should remember. Spend some time with the partner. In fact, one of the extremely important aspect actually like. And what actually we talk about, there's a small video, in fact, just about 30 seconds.
Thanks. क्या हुआ?
गाड़ी बीच रास्ते में खराब हो गई, पैदल चल के आना पड़ा।
कहा तो ठीक है ना?
A few moments later.
And you are really lucky if
क्या हो गया?
तुम्हें पता है ना, कल मेरा मोबाइल गुम हो गया था।
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
मैं मोबाइल का टॉर्च ऑन करके पूरे घर पे मोबाइल ढूंढ रहा हूँ।
तुम भी ना। अच्छा, फिर फोन मिला कि नहीं मिला?
Mila?
You have to be dumb sometimes, deaf sometimes, actually to succeed in this marriage. You are not going to get something like a doll which can be actually manipulated in a big way.
No sé cómo tú eres chavista. El loco este nos va a dejar en la calle. Nos va a quitar la fábrica, la casa, el carro y hasta los niños. Hoy en el gimnasio mierda me dijo que nos fuéramos a Panamá porque si no...
You have to learn to communicate. And when we are trying to use this, what we call as the non-verbal language,
My asthma.
verbal language,
They said they'd
you have to be
fix
very
it, but
clear
it
about what
didn't
we are
make any
trying to do.
difference at all.
Well, sometimes doctors make mistakes. Anna, you need to try twice as hard to fix them. Are you using your inhaler?
All the time. Go through one a week.
You sure you're using it right?
Do I look like an idiot?
No. Why don't you show me how your inhaler works?
So we have to be very clear. And this is one of the, there are only 2 small videos are there and that is the end of it. And I'll just, men understand certain language, women understand certain language. We have to actually strike some balance between these 2.
Hello, Madeline. Hi, Cliff. Guys, I'm here to help you today. Okay, so tell me what I can do for you.
Well, when I talk, I feel like Cliff hears me, but he doesn't listen.
How does that make you feel?
Frustrated.
Cliff, by not listening to Madeline, you're invalidating her feelings. Now, does that make sense to you?
Honestly, not really.
Okay, maybe this will help. Say you're playing a par 5 at Pebble Beach,
Yeah?
okay? You crush your drive, the wind's behind your back. Your second shot finds its way to the green. You're on in 2. Then you 4-putt for a bogey. That's how Madeline feels when you don't listen to her.
No. No, that's how you feel? Oh, babe, I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
What else, Madeline?
Well, it'd be nice if you liked my Instagram posts once in a while.
Yeah, I'm not a big, Instagram guy, but, I think you're beautiful.
Well, sure, but it'd be nice to hear it once in a while.
Cliff, you know that feeling when you hit the ball out of a greenside bunker to within a few feet from the hole? One tee box over yells out, "Nice shot!" That's how Madeline feels when you like her Instagram post. Feels good, doesn't it?
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Okay, Madeline, why don't you try now?
When it comes to intimacy, it's very important for me to feel emotionally connected to you.
That's great. Now try putting it into terms that Cliff will understand.
Okay. Here goes. You've got your golf club.
Okay, which club?
I don't know, one of the metal ones.
Nadia, an iron is what we're thinking here, I think, yeah?
An iron. Yes, an iron.
Okay, which one?
The 5th one.
Okay. So the 5 iron? Is what you're saying? I love my 5. Okay, keep going.
Okay, it's 140 yards to the hole.
5 iron, 140 yards? Are you freaking high? That's an 8 max. Do you see how hard I'm hitting the ball since I changed my swing path?
I'm just making an analogy, okay? It doesn't matter.
It matters. It definitely matters. Which way is the wind blowing?
North?
Is it morning? Am I playing the blues? Am I playing a cut? Am I playing a fade? What about the slope? Do you even know what a slope means?
Are these real things?
Are these real things? It's like we're speaking different languages.
Hey, cool it off. I have never seen it this bad before. I don't know if we can even salvage anything here. Listen, you're gonna have to learn to be a better communicator.
Thank you, doctor. I've been saying that for years.
I was talking to you, Madeline. If you want to save this marriage, you're gonna have to learn what a step meter is.
And the last one, of course, I'm afraid I'll keeping in mind, when we are trying to talk about communication, it is not possible to win. There are some better methods. People have found some easy methods also. Sometimes it works.
No, babe. Billy, on. No, babe. Only on Radio Mitching 98.3 FM. It's on.
Hello.
Hi, is that Mrs. Mahajan?
Yeah.
मिसेस महाजन, मैं पटेल बोल रहा हूँ। आपके हस्बैंड साहिल महाजन मेरे सामने बैठे हुए हैं। मैं आपसे कुछ बात करना चाह रहा था।
ये खुद क्यों नहीं बात कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, मैं आपसे बात करना चाह रहा था। मैं आप
बैठे हैं ना सजे हुए, अब ये आप ही से बात कर ले। मुझसे तो बात करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है इनको।
नहीं, मैं आपसे बात करना चाह रहा था। मैं ये कह रहा था कि
इनसे कहिए तो ये सजे हुए वहां बैठे हैं ना, अब आप ही से बात कर ले। ये जो अगर हमारी अब बात खराब हो रही है ना, इसकी जिम्मेदार ये खुद है। और ये जो आपको अपना हमदर्द समझ रहे हैं ना, इसे कह दीजिए कि अब अगर इन्होंने मुझसे जिंदगी में भी कभी बात करने की कोशिश की तो मैं इनसे बात नहीं करूंगी। सुबह से तो फोन करने का टाइम है नहीं इनके पास। कोई बात करने के लिए माफी मांगना कुछ नहीं, वो भी आपसे फोन करा रहे हैं और तब भी खुद बात नहीं कर रहे। वहां बैठ के क्या बुत बन के क्या कर रहे हैं?
मैं ये कह रहा था आपसे,
बिल्कुल खुद की गलती। सुबह से खुद ही मुंह फुला के बैठे हैं और ये बहुत पछताएंगे। इन्हें पता नहीं है। आने दो, मैं भी देखती हूँ कब तक बात नहीं करेंगे और कब तक ये ड्रामा चलता रहेगा आखिर।
नहीं मिसेस महाजन, मैं
इनको इतना होश नहीं है कि जब सुबह निकल रहे थे कम से कम तभी कहते थे कि अब बात को खत्म कर दो, रात गई बात गई, लेकिन नहीं।
आपसे तो ये है कि
कहाँ बैठे ये नाश्ता
अभी तो वॉशरूम गए हुए हैं।
अब ये आ जाए ना वॉशरूम से, इन्हें कह देना मुझसे बात करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है।
आप भी थोड़ा सा सिचुएशन को कभी मतलब
रहे हैं। आप कौन होते हैं आप बोलने वाले?
मिसेस महाजन, मैं कौन होता हूँ? मैं ज्वेलर से सेल्समैन हूँ। अभी उन्होंने डायमंड रिंग चूज करी है। वो आपके लिए उन्होंने डायमंड रिंग चूज करी है, तो वो कंफ्यूज थे कि रूबी पर्ल डायमंड इसमें कौन सा ज्यादा, मैं कौन सी वाली इनको दूं। तो कह रहे थे आपसे पूछ लें आपको क्या पसंद है।
डायमंड अनकट है क्या?
आप कहेंगे तो अनकट रखेंगे इसमें, आप कहेंगे तो रूबी रखेंगे ज्यादा।
नहीं, आप अनकट ही रखिए, मुझे रूबी ज्यादा पसंद नहीं है। बस ध्यान रखिएगा कि वो थोड़ा सा शार्प हो। पर्ल्स ब्लू लगाएं।
नहीं, पर्ल्स तो उन्होंने ब्लू ही बोले। अब तो पैक कर रहा हूँ। हाँ ठीक है, मैं इनको यस।
साहिल कहाँ है?
आ गए हैं, टॉयलेट से आ गए हैं।
बात करा दीजिए।
हाँ नताशा। हाँ बोलो।
कैसे हो?
ठीक हूँ।
अच्छा सुनो,
बोलो।
आई लव यू। घर आ जाओ।
So important point is, in fact, men try to believe that it is actually something physical, but absolutely not. And there is only another one video is that is close. How actually a man can be sensitive to the whole this thing.
In the plan.
இன்னைக்கு சண்டே இல்ல, ஒரு நாள் தானே லீவ் கிடைக்குது, கொஞ்சம் விட.
சாப்பாடு நல்லா இருக்கா?
சூப்பர். இல்ல வைஃப் நம்ம கிறுக்கிட்டு இருக்கா. சார் ஃப்ரீ தான், சொல்லுங்க சொல்லுங்க. என்ன
கிளம்பியாச்சா? ஃபங்க்ஷன் ஆல்ரெடி ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிருக்கும்பா. சீக்கிரம் வரேன்னு சொன்னேன்ல.
சரி நீ கிளம்பு, நான் வர லேட் ஆகும். We'll join.
எனக்கு எப்போ வண்டி வாங்கி தருவேன்?
நீ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சைக்கிள் ஒழுக்கா ஓட்டு.
So it's
உடம்பு சரியில்லையா? சரி நான் மதியம் வெளியே சாப்பிட்டுக்கிறேன். உங்க அப்பா அம்மாவுக்கு ஃபோன் பண்ணி வர சொல்லவா? நான் ஆபீஸ் கிளம்புறேன்.
Therapy involves actually what we basically call making the men sensitive to some of the issues. Never ask an angry wife to make you a sandwich. In fact, how to win, it is not the six packs actually what she'll be expecting. Her way of dealing with life is actually something totally different. Sex is a conversation carried out by another means. Woman is a beautiful melody when the man is a good musician. In fact, one of the things is the bring back that particular man-woman magic. And with this,
चांद चमके जल उठे तन मेरा, मैं कहूँ मत करो चंदा इस गली का बेड़ा, आना मोरा सैया जब आए, चमकना उस रात को जब मिलेंगे तन मन, मिलेंगे तन मन, पिया तो से ना लागे रे, ना लागे रे पिया, ओ पिया, आहा पिया, ओ पिया तो से ना लागे रे, जाने क्या हो अब आगे रे.
if you are able to get a partner who understands you and who can respond to you in that particular fashion, that would be wonderful. With that particular beautiful song, I close my session and thank you all for wonderfully attending to the program, and so many people are still there. It is actually something extraordinarily great. Thank you very, very much for opportunity. I hope actually you have done the job.
Thank you, sir. It was very wonderful, with a very interesting. You made with the so many videos, because it makes it things lighter. And one more thing I want to ask you is, as a clinician, how we can improve communication between couple. We will cover in later parts, or
yes, you are giving me another session on CBT and all, no? That's what.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
This is only
Okay,
to
sir.
talk about communication.
Yeah,
is an
right.
extremely important component, and it is not giving PDE5 inhibitors or doing an intracavernosal injection, and it is going to work that particular way. And I'm sure
Very wonderful.
Raj agrees with that particular point.
Oh, wonderful, sir.
Dr. Raj Brahmbhatt, any comment on that? Sir, you are muted.
Unmute yourself. Yeah. Brahmbhatt, sir, unmute yourself.
Mesmerized. I didn't wanted to say anything. I think he is an amazing person, and how he manages the time. Neeraj, I tell you that after Modi, he is the one.
Yes.
When he is in Rajkot. Third
Yes.
how he manages, I think amazing, very beautifully. And the video he has collected, he said 30,
Yes.
but I am sure more than that, even videos may be there. Each one has
Yes.
a meaning. I think each
Yes.
one can take a day, on a discussion. I think they
Yes.
can be a very good spring point. And what he said is the most important part in the life is communication.
Yeah. Yes. Not only verbal, non-verbal communication is also important, sir.
Most important. That is what, when
Yeah.
you're seeing with the client, the first thing you see their non-verbal communication. And anybody
Yes.
puts to hand, I say, please relax it. I'm your friend. If you want, I will remove my tie coat and everything. And one last, I would like to share. The first lesson I learned was in the first MBBS, you know. In a small cubicles in Bombay, you see there is hardly a space. And there was one doctor, you know, who had come from abroad. He talked to a lady and they were all open cubicles. So she took a picture and she's saying, "मैं मर जाऊंगी, मगर कुछ भी नहीं करना है, मुझे नहीं कराना है operation." Markan, but he was my surgery teacher. He saw, he said, "Call that lady inside." Put a hand on her back. "Ma, क्या हुआ है?" And then he explained in the vernacular language in a very simple way. And she says, "अगर मरना भी है तो तेरे हाथ से मरूंगी." That was the first lesson of communication. So if you want to be a good doctor in any field, you must learn how to.
Good. Yes. In any field, not only as a doctor, but
apart from day-to-day life. Everywhere you go in the way which you talk, it will definitely help you. And it is funniest instance, if I can tell you once, Dr. Vatsa, myself, Narayan Reddy, Dr. Prabhu, and Dr. Wiley had come. It was a conference in New Bombay. So Wiley was the world president. So they were the best person. Take him to show how the Bombay is. So I took him and everything was happy. Then in the evening, we were supposed to meet at the Wellington Club, which is a British club.
Okay.
The moment we enter, Dr. Vasa said, "There is a problem. He is wearing shorts and it is not allowed. Go and get one pant or trouser." At 9:30, where to get a trouser? I went and talked to the manager of the restaurant. "Sir, I need your help." And for these days, you know, I said, "Even Modi cannot do it, only you can do it." He said, "What is that?" I said, "I need one trouser." And he started, I said, "This is the matter." He said, "From where to get?" I said, "Get one of the trousers from your waiters." And he got one and he wore it and the whole evening was beautiful. So you must learn. I think Dr. Rao, he needs a big round of applause.
Yes.
In spite of all of you were not there, the way he conducted very coolly, I think hats off to you.
Yeah.
I'll say really.
Yeah. Where 3 hours passed, we didn't understand. Realized. It was like 30-minute session.
I think for treatment also you should ask them to sit 3 hours. They'll see spellbound. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I think you and Apurva and Manish are doing wonderful job. Once again, taps to all of you. Take care.
Thank you.
I sign off.
Apurva, what up? Thanks. Thank you.
सर मनीष सर बोल रहे अच्छा ओके मैं बोल लेता हूँ ओके
Okay, Manish, you are
थैंक यू
Yeah, go ahead, Apurva.
Okay.
No, we can't hear Apurva. You are muted. Apurva, you are muted.
And faculty for the
non-verbal communication is doing.
Dr. TSS Rao.
No, if you are traveling, then let Manish finish the word of
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Dr. TSS Rao sir. It was an amazing lecture. I recalled this the dialogue of Munna Bhai MBBS where he says, तुमको पता है बॉडी में कितना हड्डी होता है 207 हमको पता भी नहीं चलता तोड़ने के टाइम पे इतने होता है. That sort of thing is like when we take a sexual history, we don't know this much emotional background or communication background needs to be checked. We just ask for the erection, the frequency, and means very technical things. But we really realized what communication or what emotional background check should be done with this particular lecture. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Neeraj Jadhav, sir, for having this particular initiative for the benefit of all gynecologists. It's going to create a new kind of, I will say, era for practicing sexual medicine in an effective way in the OBGYN OPDs. It's blessing to have Dr. Raj Shekhar Brahmabhat sir over here. And I really thank you, Foxy officials, the chief guest, the guest of honor, Dr. Asha Bakshi madam, Dr. Sampat Kumari madam, and Dr. Alpesh Gandhi sir. And for all the attendees to attend this particular webinar. And this is a series, and there are going to be subsequent sessions, and I think it will benefit all of us to practice the sexual medicine in a better way. So thank you, everyone.
Manish sir, just to add, thank you to the ICUG chairperson, ICUG chairperson, Dr. Lakshmi Srikhande madam, and our secretary ICUG, Dr. Ashok Kumar sir, for giving us one ICUG credit point, and to all the wonderful participants who are stick glue even after 3 hours. So thank you to each and everyone, and to the Foxy office for providing us the Zoom platform.
Yes,
thank you.
And yes, we will send the video recording link to everyone who has attended. So no worry. Someone was asking about the video recording, so we will send it. No. And thank you, Manish and Apurva, for wonderful hosting this session. You are wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You are the driving force behind all these things.
No, you all are there. I am just sitting behind and enjoying everything.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. You can stop recording now. Manish, you can stop recording.
Yes, sir.